Hey everyone, and welcome to your coverage of FNCS Middle East. My name is Palm, and I am joined by Bryson and Panda, ready to kick off the action here. FNCS Grand Finals, Day 2. What are we looking at today here, Bryson?
You know what, Palm? I don't really know exactly what to expect, considering, the Middle East is arguably one of the most underrated regions. We're going to see some really hefty gameplay here, but seeing, who's going to make it to the top, who's going to make it, push them away from, those bottom sideline scores all the way back up to that top 10, because we have a massive gap right now. So I'm really excited to just see what some of these players are going to be able to do today.
Yeah, absolutely. Underrated and undervalued right here, the Middle East region. We talked about it quite a bit in the community. Now it's time for us to bring some light to this community because they genuinely deserve it. And speaking of which, let's talk about those standings real quick. If you don't know, the standings from day number 1 are as follows. You have Kooky Phantom and Niall Riley with 163 points. This is a very, very dominant lead ahead of 8th place. However, you look at 2nd place here, Modisk, Saurano, and Kai, 159 points. That is only a 4-point difference going into day number 2 here, the Grand Finals. And this is it. The Grand Finals is the big day, so they need to make sure they are stepping up and holding that lead. Now, though, you look at, again, like I talked about, that 8th place spot, only 88 points. That is almost a 100-point difference between 8th and 1st. So there is really some wiggle room here for these teams. But remember, there's a format to this, and there's a way for these teams to come back.
Yeah, and that format, it's really crazy, Panda. We're going to see a lot of stackers here today. As we're moving on to our format, we have 2 points per elimination. 17th with 1 point, climbing all the way up. As you move on, that placement is going to be key for a lot of these players with that coveted 30 points for placement with that victory royale. I'm guessing we're going to see a lot of stackers here today. And we're going to move on into prizing, as there is quite a hefty amount of money on the line. First place with $30,000 for the winners. Second, dropping down to $19,500. So everybody's going to be looking for that coveted first place prizing. And all the way dropping down, you see the people who did it. They made it to Grands. They may not have had the best performance in the Grand Final. They're still going to be walking away with some cash for themselves. But I'm expecting to see some great games here today. And one of the main points that we want to talk about, just curious, is the reboot round winners, Ali, Faris, and Echo. They have had an amazing time. Right before the broadcast, we were watching Echo's clutch coming into this, where he just found all the heals in the world.
I'm super excited to just see teams like that, teams that, people didn't expect to actually be in. And then you have something like the reboot round, which is really cool for Fortnite to do something like that, to give those teams that extra little chance to get back into the top 33 teams to play the FNCS today. And that team delivered. They delivered, and they're ready to perform with the big dogs today. They're ready to perform for that $30,000 that's on the line for first place.
Yeah, and keep in mind a little fun fact about the reboot round. In history of the reboot round, no one has really done very well following or making it through via the reboot round. So we're going to see some changes today, because we know not only we talk about Middle East, they had a great team in Echo and that trio making it through the reboot round, but there's going to be lots of stories of reboot round teams in all different regions stepping up to the plate, because we've seen some major action when it comes to these reboot rounds, and I think that's really going to carry over here to the Grand Finals.
The reboot round is something unique that Fortnite just recently added in. One of the storylines, not talking about Middle East, talking about North American, the Eastern region, Zay and Saf just winning that reboot round. I personally think the reboot round is really hyped up, and I remember sitting in a call with some friends, and we were just like, as the game went on, we were just like, who won the reboot round? Who won the reboot round? Is there so much hype around that one moment?
Yeah, the reboot round is it's just a different world there, because it's not a 6-game tournament, it's one game and there's one winner. So being able to get through there and win that reboot round is ultimately one of the most impressive feats, in my opinion, that you can see in FNCS.
Yeah, and it's unique. For those of you at home that don't know what the reboot round is and you just hear us rambling about reboot, let's talk about it. This is what happens, or how you get to a reboot round. Let's start there. So in the semifinals, you have the top 8 teams making it on. Now, 9th through 16th place have an opportunity to then progress over to a reboot round. So if you place in that 9th to 16th in your region, in each heat, you get to go on to the next reboot round, right? So that's how the reboot round is created. Now, once you're in the reboot round, eliminations, they don't matter. Placement doesn't matter. The only thing that matters is taking home the victory royale, which again is not an easy feat. I know personally, it's not like you can run around, or I run around with 100% victory royale rate by any means. So for somebody, or for a team rather, to be able to walk away with 100% taking that victory royale, they should be proud of that performance and let that hype carry them into these grand finals.
Yeah, and that's one of the things. Momentum is so big today, as we saw an amazing games being played, 6 games being played yesterday. As we're moving forward, that first place team they're only ahead by, I believe, 4 points. They're really gonna have to carry some momentum. We're in first right now. Everybody's looking at us. We have a target on our back. We really have to step it up, move forward, and try our best to keep holding this coveted first place spot.
Yeah, no, I'm really curious to see, is the battlefield just going to be dominated by these top 3 teams who we're seeing hold these really high points above everybody else? Or are we going to see some underdogs, move their way up, talking about an ending season, a season that's about to end literally this next Tuesday. We've got some metas that are in their final moments, and we're looking at, little movement. We really just have the bouncers, and then we have this big sniper meta right now, where snipers are very common and every team pretty much has one. So you don't want to, peek your head at any time's end game. You want to be careful, because at just 1 second you could be just downed and elimed right like that with a sniper. So I'm curious to see, with some of these teams, how they're able to play it, because something like that could just end your game immediately with no questions.
Yeah, and we've talked now a little bit about the current meta. Let's talk about what we're predicting here for Season 6, because like Bryson mentioned, we're only a few days away here from what Season 6 is going to be. We know today, Fortnite just this morning put out a tweet with a little excerpt, maybe a little teaser of what's going on. And clearly, the 0 point is not stable. We've heard it from that tweet. Now we know. So big things are about to happen. Big changes are about to happen. But I'm going to ask them, and I'm going to let it come back around to me. What are your Season 6 predictions? Because this is gearing up to be the biggest season we've had in all of Chapter 2.
Yeah, there's a lot of hype around, as we saw in the teaser today. Agent Jonesy talking about how an order came in, but that wasn't disclosed in the teaser. So we have a lot of hype around this season. I'm hoping, just praying, that possibly a little more movement comes in, as I want to see the return of the launch pad. Launch pad, one of my favorite movement items in the game. Yeah. Being able to glide around, have an opportunity to move, and it makes end games where you could just have a player zooming right next to you, just hear the audio cue, and next thing you know, they're landing on your old tarp and old builds, just trying to find anything they can. So I want to see a lot more movement coming into this next season, and I'm just really hyped up for it. I think this is the most hyped I've been for a Fortnite season coming in.
Yeah, there's a lot that could change, and I'm super excited to see what we do different with the map. But I think what I can speak for almost everyone in the Fortnite community, the one thing people are hoping makes their return is the pump shotgun. So with such a different shotgun meta this season, with things like the charges, the lever, and tax, and then we have the dragon shotgun, it is completely different than any Fortnite we've ever seen. So having these guns with a little bit of delay to them, or something like attack that you can spam shoot, but have very low hits, is just it's something that I know a lot of players are bothered by and are getting to a point where they're ready for that pump, they're ready for those big hits that just can end a player's game just like that. So I'm excited to see if we get anything like that back in, or are we going to stay with, you know, the shotgun meta that we have now?
I definitely think we're going to see some changes to the shotgun meta. I think that's a must, right? I think the one thing that the Fortnite community can agree on is there's no consistency currently in the shotgun meta. You could pick up any shotgun, but you're not going to consistently be able to put out or output a lot of damage. So that consistency factor is why people enjoy and love the pump so much. But obviously the pump shotgun coming back doesn't always make everybody happy. So it's all about finding a balance between the two. So potentially nerfing the top damage on the pump shotgun, but keeping the rest of it the same. Like finding ways to make it an effective shotgun in the meta, but also something that players genuinely want to play with. I think that's going to be the biggest struggle coming in, just specifically with the shotgun meta. But let's talk about the overall meta, right? Mobility has been, I don't want to say lackluster, right? Because there is some great mobility built into the map between the water, the sand, the crystals. So there's a lot of mobility there, but obviously lack of item mobility doesn't give you that ability to kind of move at your own pace. When you're ready to move, when you're ready to activate mobility, you don't always have that because you may not be near a water line. You may not be in the sand, you may not be near crystals. So having that and having an additional type of mobility would be interesting. Personally, I think with the sand, they could have split the crystals out across the map and then just made the sand area sand for mobility. That way there's more spread out mobility. It's a little bit different when you're talking about it from that perspective. But going into season 6, it's going to be huge. Regardless, the 0 point, like we said, is not stable. That thing is about to blow, and our reality is going to change significantly. So now it's just a matter of figuring out how that reality is going to change. But before we figure that out, we got to get through these grand finals, and let's go ahead and dive into game 1 of the day.
Yeah, this is going to be our match number 1 of grand finals, day number 2. We're dropping in towards Steamy Stacks with Raid. Steamy Stacks is personally one of my choices to land on the map. Beautiful mobility using the stacks and just enough fishing spots around to hold you over on heals. It looks like Raid, Snoka, and Lizai are going to be contested just barely here. But they are going to be going for that main building. Raid going to grab that AR off the top, immediately looking for tags out of the sky. Hits a little 20, just setting himself up for that mid game. He's going to start breaking down and moving on and start looting up even more.
Yeah, the Steamy Stacks, you know, is one of the better places to land this season, considering like what we were talking about with the little movement in the game, because you have these stacks, you have a way to get out of there fast. You'll even see a lot of teams that will rotate towards the Steamy Stacks towards the end of the first circle, just so they can get that quick movement to get themselves into mid circle here. So Steamy Stacks is one of the better places to land, arguably, and being able to, it's big enough to split if some teams want to land and then just try and not contest the other team. But if you're able to alpha that drop, if you're able to take Steamy Stacks and make it your home and nobody else's, ultimately, you're going to have a pretty easy start to each of these games.
Yeah, and let's talk about their easy start right now, right? You see them looting through this area uncontested. They're able to not only maximize on material, whether it be the metal, the brick, the wood, you have all that, but the loot spawns in this area is plentiful, to say the least, because you have so many opportunities and so many chests that spawn in this area. You're really set up for success, and then once you utilize those stacks to rotate, you're good to go. But the only problem with Steamy Stacks is the placement of the POI. You look at it, it is located on the outskirts of the map, causing a bit of an issue for rotation, especially considering if there are teams at these other POIs or other drops around, you could end up flying right into a trio.
Yeah, and that's one of, like you said, Panda, one of the problems with Steamy Stacks is just it's all the way secluded in that top corner of the map, unable to just move around. And yes, that rotation can be good, but you can't move all the way halfway across the map using it See, Raid still just looting up here. They really are just not doing much. They just gotta get ready for this rotation coming up, as this next zone will be moving in just about 2 minutes. And some minis. This is team just looking for that shield. Move over to Lizai, who's all the way at the island, all the way in the back. That's another thing about Steamy Stacks. The loot is so spread out, and I believe Bryson brought this up. If a team wants to split drop Steamy Stacks along with another team is try and uncontest each other, that is also very reasonable option. There's just a lot of area to cover all the way around, using the coastline to fish. This is one of the underrated spots that not a lot of people like look to and go, oh, it's in the corner of the map. I don't want to go here because the rotation is going to take me forever if zone pulls all the way down. But you see it, Lizai, he's going to see one of Real Pro all the way across the map. Takes his scar out, tries to get some shots. He's not going to find it. We're going to see Snowcut immediately helping him out. And it looks like Real Pro is going to fall to Snowka on the high ground. He was one of the last of his team, and he is going to fall down quickly in this first game of day number 2.
Yeah, it looks like Real Pro, like I said, was trying to make one of those rotations outside to get himself into Steamy, maybe get that reboot, considering he was the last one left in his team. And, you know, after he could reboot, the team could quickly take the stacks and get themselves out into the circle, into a better position. One thing, though, that I'd like to say is really good about this area is if you wanted to save on heals and you're the only one that landed there, there is a slurp truck that is directly right outside of the Steamy Stacks too, so that can give people free health while they're able to hold on to their own heals and don't have to waste any other heals, so they can be ready for these end game matches.
Yeah, and remember, heals are so important. We saw it in our pre-videos loading in today. You saw how that reboot round was solely affected by heals. This is such an important part of this meta, and we're going to see a lot of heals coming out in today's games. But let's switch over to Misty Meadows. You see Adapter, AZ Elix, and you have AZ Milix. Okay, I like the names. Let's go. You see them working this POI together. One thing that we've seen a lot of this season is everybody utilizing a POI to the best of its advantages, meaning they're picking up heals, they're splitting them and throwing them in the middle of the POI. They're communicating effectively. They're doing a lot of things that ultimately will set them up for success, and I think that's why we're seeing the success come out of these teams so early on.
Yeah, and we see them also taking advantage of the Misty Meadows NPC. He does spawn, and you are able to use that gold that you get from finding nooks and crannies of the map, finding those safes, and use that gold to upgrade your weapon. So Adapter is gonna walk out of Misty with a decent load out himself. So I got a snipe off. Beautiful little shot outside of the car. Adapter is just working around, and he's, like I said, he just set himself up for success right now. This purple charge, his scar, he's going to be working that around. The charge is one of them to hold it down. We're going to jump off, move over to Lazy Lake of Modest and his team ready. This is the team, I believe, that is close to first place. If I pull it up, yes, this team is very high up there in second place. They are looking to have some great games today to push them forward. They are just a little behind that first place spot, just working around this Lazy Lake, as it looks like they had it uncontested.
Yeah, Lazy Lake is another big one to be able to land to, and as you saw at the beginning, Modix was trying to upgrade some items with the skin right there with the AI. You know, that's a big part about this meta right now, is these in-game currency and the ability to be able to upgrade items with certain AIs that are placed around this map. So curious to see with season 6 if we still get a similar thing that happens. But right now, this is the big thing. You want to be able to land at a spot that gives you that opportunity to upgrade guns. That way you can just keep collecting your gold, and then hopefully going into this end game with, you know, the best guns possible. But we're moving over to Khalud, who's over in this spot right by the gas station area. It looks like they were just in a fight with another team, but it looks like they're, you know, trying to uncontest them and just get away from the fight as everyone is trying to play for this end game, because we still have 81 people left and the first circle hasn't even completely closed yet, but it looks like someone just got tagged and they're getting into a full-on build fight right here. We're looking at Lude looking to take height, but as he bounces himself outwards, he's still getting tagged from the side, so he's gonna have to box himself up here and just try and relieve the momentum a little bit and then be able to get back in and help his teammate out.
Yeah, you see Demon did go down there fairly quickly, and you notice real quick, look at the team that they are fighting or that they're now disengaging from. If you notice, it is our first place team here, so they are going to disengage quickly and get away from that. They saw in the kill feed quickly that Demon Jolo went down to that first place team. They said, you know what, sayonara, I'm not taking you guys on. So now they're going to go ahead and disengage here. Khaloud continuing to mat up as he rotates away, and you see how easily and simultaneously both teams decide, you know what, this isn't the position we're in. Kookie's team, they were able to walk away with Storm Surge, so they don't have to worry about that. And this other team, while down a player, is still going to be able to make it to the later rounds of this game.
Yeah, great disengage there as we see Minus just walking forward. He's going to walk into Lazy Lake, and nobody's going to be in that area. Do you see a team up on the hill to their left? But he's going to walk into Lazy Lake. As we saw, another team was already here, looted it up completely. They got themselves out of a very bad situation, though, as there was a lot of teams in that one small condensed area. They did get the reboot card, so they are going to go for this reboot. They're going to get Demon Jolo back up, going to come back into this end game full force.
Yeah, you know, getting that reboot is huge in this match, but as we're seeing, there's a few teams that are right around them that are closing themselves in. So this could be a tough reboot right here, noticing that, you know, these teams might choose to just focus straight on them. So right away, we're going to see them giving off their guns, hoping to get them into the building so then they can get some of that natural cover and give them some more guns and ammo. But it looks like some of these teams are about to just press them right away into the foot. So you see Minus getting hit right there, put him down to around only 128 health, and considering he only has a shotgun right here, he's gonna have to play this fully box fight and not be able to just get inside someone's builds and take those shots. So this is gonna be a tough play for them, but they were able to get their teammate up though, so now it is a 3v3 and not just a 2v3. So hopefully they can get some eliminations here, or at least get themselves out of this fight, because, you know, they want to see end game. There's still 79 people left too, so we're gonna be looking at Storm Surge showing itself on the map here pretty soon. So depending on whether or not the team they're fighting is low, they might really try and make a heavy push in to get those eliminations, to get those tags, because we know Storm Surge can ultimately be one of the biggest killers in this game.
Yeah, and for those of you at home who don't know what Storm Surge is, well, guess what? You join most of the Fortnite community, because Storm Surge is one of those few things that has hardly been explained. But to the best of our knowledge, we're going to go ahead and explain it now to you. Storm Surge is a mechanism in the game that once is activated, once there are a certain amount of players left in a certain zone. As you can see, Storm Surge has now become active, and it gives you a number damage threshold. So fortunately for Minus, Demon Jolo and Khaloud, they are currently above the threshold. However, they are not very much above that threshold, so they need to get some damage in if they want to comfortably progress in their later rounds. But let's go ahead and talk about the details of Storm Surge. So Storm Surge, if you don't know, is this mechanic designed to help with server health. It's all about getting the player count down by certain zones. So by design, it definitely does that. So if you're on the bad end of Storm Surge, meaning if you're out here and you are not above that damage threshold, you cannot be set up for success. And that is why this engagement is now taking place.
Minus is just trying to push forward his team. It's 33 above Storm Surge. They have to look for some tags. 78 players remaining. As Storm Surge is not going to end itself, I believe 70 are left in the lobby. Minus is looking great. Break through any of these builds, spamming through with their ARs. They're going to be shot at from behind. A lot of people are here.
Yeah, they're looking for a heavy box fight right now, considering they're only 33 above. This is going to put them in a bad position, especially for later Storm Surge coming in. Even if they don't have to hit it, this one, meaning they're 33 above now, is probably going to make them below for the next Storm Surge. And we know that the 50 Storm Surge and the 30 Storm Surge is usually the ones that end up actually starting to affect players and start hitting them. So they're trying to really take this box fight seriously. They need these kills. And also, it's going to be hard for them to get out of here just in general, because there's more than one team in the area. There's a few different teams in the area. So even if they're able to disengage with this one team, they could immediately get pushed by another team, because we're seeing Wagner and them on height right now in the main building. So they're able to just rain down on other teams, so making it a lot harder for teams to just get out of the area, because they're able to just hit picks with their AR, snipes if they have to. But we're looking at Minus, who actually went down, and Demon Jolo and Khalud are going to be trying to, complete this box fight by themselves, but they weren't able to, as they've all three were elimed and taken off the board. So now we're going over to Flamores and Crip and 76, and they are apparently still in a box fight with just everyone, it seems, in the lobby in this one small place. But ultimately, it looks like Wagner and them were able to take home Lazy as their home, and they're able to move on to the next end game, to the end game of this game, and ultimately come on board with these already a few kills, and they're going to be good on Storm Surge coming in later here.
Yeah, absolutely. So far in this session, they're able to walk away with 6 points, and all being elimination points. Remember, elimination points are 2 points per elim, so that is a hefty start to your game. Now, though, you need to make sure, if you are Wagner, Dexy, and Pro, right, you are playing this a certain way. You now need to focus solely on making it to the late game, because the last thing you want to do is lose or get eliminated before you get to that end game, because you want those placement points. You want all that stuff going on. So now we switch over, though. You see Unit, Nibby, and QN now healing up after getting a quick snipe on them. This could be a quick engagement we see, or that could have just been a Storm Surge tag from the other team. That's just how the cookie crumbles sometimes. But you look at Unit's inventory real quick. The RPG is there. What a beautiful advantage to have at this point in the game, especially once you get to the late game. But real quick, before I switch it over to my boy Palm, I gotta say, chat, thank you so much for hanging out. I see you all. Zeus, Dinger Hitter, Sweat It. You all are amazing. Thank you for coming and supporting the broadcast today. Now, Palm, take us into what's about to happen.
Unit and his team are pushing forward, going for the high ground. Like you said, Panda, they do have that RPG. That RPG, as we see on every single other server, it's wrecking havoc with it just being able to cause everybody to fall down in endgame. We'll move over to Bro, Wagner, and Dex fight, trying to rotate all the way in. They may end up being storm held here, as they are late rotating into Hunter's Haven. Everybody isn't focused on them, though. They're focused on themselves. They're gonna be able to find themselves right on the edge of zone. And one of the things I like to look at in Pro's inventory, he's got 6 peppers, and those are absolutely amazing. Peppers are one of the consumable items in the game. It'll make you move faster for just a short amount of time, and that can make it so that your end game rotation can be sped up so much faster than anybody else's. Looking at the map, Pro and his team are just outside the next zone, but they're going to take this opportunity to refarm everything that they lost coming in. So we see immediately on the high ground, Unit and NJ and QN still holding onto this high ground, getting any shots off they can. Across the hill, Yonks FHD holding the other high ground, moving in towards this end game, as we're going to see a lot more people fall coming up here.
Yeah, we're getting into that 4th circle now, so we're about to see a lot more placement hit, as we haven't really seen any yet. There's still 23 to 24 teams left on the board. Yeah, 24 exactly right now. So we don't really see that first placement until 17 teams are left. So really the only points people have is from kills so far. So now people are going to be really looking for tags, going to be really looking to eliminate some teams, so that way they can start getting those placement points, because that's what people want. That's how you're gonna qualify. That's how you're gonna make money here. But it looks like we had Crazy go down to a snipe. Like I said before, the sniper meta right now is pretty insane. A lot of people have snipes. You can barely peek these end games, or you might just be taken out just like that. So we're looking at the next Storm Surge 2 hitting, and these guys are a little bit below, so they're gonna have to really do something here.
Yeah, and do something indeed. You see them healing and rezzing their teammate quickly. But this is the one thing I'll say. Right now, it doesn't make sense for any other team, unless you're close, to rotate down on them. Now, though, looking at positioning here, you see Casper team just below our one of our top teams here in FHD, Yonks, and Karidu. They have probably the ultimate position in this zone as of right now. You see the high ground is theirs. The advantages are theirs. Depending on where the zone pools, they might be able to hold that high ground that they currently have. The only disadvantage to that at this point in the game is utilizing as many mats as they've had to. So hopefully they'll be able to get some a refresh here, and that's what you see FHD looking down and trying to do. He sees that the fight, this engagement is going on. Now it's time for him to dive in and try to take advantage of the third party.
Yeah, he really we saw him sitting to 100 builds. GNT is going to get absolutely lasered, though. He's going to have to use his final 2 minis to get back up. 29 builds. They are being focused. They do have a little bit to rotate as well. And on the high ground, shots coming out. And Sod is going to pick up an elimination because they are still low on the low ground. And they are being focused right now. The AR shots are coming out from everybody else, and Sod is going to be hit hard. Only 32 HP remaining, and he does not have any heals to help him out. He is the final man on his team. He has to clutch this out, as he only has 2 points for his team at the moment.
Yeah, Sod over there, he played it really smart in the moment because he didn't take those fights when everybody else was down. He knew he had to hide himself a little bit there because that's really the only way. He could have gone out with maybe 1 down or 1 extra knock there, but he wants those placement points, so he was trying to play for his teams, play by himself there, and just play for placement. So now we're really looking at the board here, and people are trying to move themselves in, trying to get themselves into the circle. We still have 49 people left, guys, and we're in that half and half fifth zone that is closing right now. Only 15 seconds left. Now we got FHD, Yonks, and Kurito-kun, who are currently holding height right now. One of the obviously best positions to be, especially in a game that pulls up mountains like this. And having those peppers and bouncers, they are absolutely solid. They'll be able to bounce her forward, grab that height again, and just ultimately make sure that people know this is their play field right now. This is their game, but who knows? We could have another team try to take that height, try to move themselves upward. Height is never fully secured, and we know that sometimes someone could just come from out of nowhere and take that spot from you.
Yeah, and the last thing you want to have to deal with is utilizing or losing your spot here in the zone, though. Now, just a quick shout out. You see, looks like these players are still trying to prime and set themselves up for height, but they're not the only team doing it. It looks like there's another team that's going to stay pretty close to high ground and attempt to take it later on. You see, though, these players are starting to rotate in, and how hectic these late zones can be. Fortunately for Yonix and his trio, they are above that damage threshold. They don't have to worry about Storm Surge too much, but there it is. The RPG comes out, and this is going to make a big difference. If you're on the high ground and you don't have the RPG, you need to be worried.
Yeah, the RPG, and if you're on high ground, that immediately makes you a target for whoever's holding on to that RPG. Kurito-kun and Yonks, HHD are still going to hold on to this high ground, as they are just trying to do anything they can to keep that up and going. Action happening here. A lot of people are going to die in this rotation going down the mountain. We move on into Lizai, Raid, and Snoka. They're pushing up, trying to find anything they can. They're rotating around in their beautiful tarp coming out by Raid, as nobody's really focusing on them at the moment. They have an opportunity to look down, try and find tags, so they don't have to worry about their Storm Surge count that much. They do have 2 eliminations in this game number 1 spread around them, and they're going to use that bouncer to to push themselves forward. Another RPG shot coming out onto height, but Lizai is going to be in his own box, and they're just going to focus on rotating in at the moment, just trying to find anything they can, just moving into that zone. They're going to take the ultimate low ground in this match.
Yeah, they're finding themselves in a much better position that earlier we saw. They were looking at second height there, which we know second height can be one of the worst spots to be in because height will just rain down on you with those AR shots. So right now they're going to be trying to hold the bottom, trying to hold low ground and just frag out a little bit here, get those extra kills because, you know, low ground can still be a big frag out moment. A lot of people think of high ground as being the only place that you can frag, but we're looking at, you know, a lot of box fighting when you get in the low ground, and a lot of these players have phenomenal techniques. But right now, we still see quite a bit, 22 people actually, still moving themselves in towards the circle. And we're going into that 9th zone here in 5 seconds, which is the final one, to where there will be only zone, no circle left. And it's going to either come down to a heal off or come down to the final few players as they pull those shotguns out. They go for those quick box fights or even no builds whatsoever, and they try to get that victory royale.
Yeah, here are the final moments of the game. The 9th zone, as he mentioned. You see, looking around though, this is very, very fortunate for the players that weren't on the high ground. If you noticed, it was initially pulling up the hill and then immediately started pulling back in the opposite direction. So this is definitely a pro, and as to why most of these teams are still alive. But you see Kuki, Niall, Riley, and Phantom, this trio, again, in that top spot currently before this game. Now, though, getting hit up very significantly. No shield here on Phantom. He's going to have to heal up quickly. Now it's just Phantom. Will Phantom be able to hold on here for his team? The shots are coming out from every direction. He's going to go ahead and continue to heal up, though. He needs to make some big plays happen. He does not have the heals in the inventory to stay alive just solely on that, but he does actually get a Storm Surge tag. He looks for any kind of additional heals there. He doesn't find anything, but all he finds is players all around. These are the final moments of the game, and Phantom does go down. Now it's all up to this last trio. There is Rapid, Exxon, versus, it looks like No Bluff and Eco. This is our reboot players looking to show up, and there it is, 2v2. This is it now. Speedy by himself. He needs to fight this last trio. This trio is pushing non-stop. The pressure is relentless. What will happen here? Speedy just trying to heal off here in the distance. You see the other players trying to heal off too. Echo right on the other side of his builds. This is not a good situation for either of them. The shots are coming out. Who will win? And there it is. Echo not only winning the reboot round, but now taking game number 1 of the day here in the Middle East Grand Finals.
Wow, what an ending. As you said, Panda, Echo, one of the reboot round winner, just moving forward and clutching out that end game. We saw the heal game coming out for both teams, but in the end, the elimination comes out and Echo is going to pick up that victory royale, not only for him, but also for his team. And that's also gonna boost him up into the standings, which we're gonna look at right now. Moving forward, we see still in first is Kukai Phantom and Niralai with 186 points, and Modiz Suranai Kai 175. So still a big second to third place jump. This Bagnar Pro and G-Fight 154 points. We see that reboot round winner 151 points. Ali, Ferris, and Echo moving up into that top 4 place. And who knows, maybe they'll end up breaking that reboot round curse that we keep on seeing.
Yeah, just like you guys were saying, you know, we don't really see a lot of the teams that make it through the reboot round that actually do well in the grand finals, but it looks like today history may be changed as we're seeing some of these teams make themselves up higher than what we thought really could have happened, you know, and just seeing an end game like that really went down to, you know, a heal off pretty much. And we saw the person we were looking at had 4 fish. That's 200 health, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough because the other team also had heals, and heals are such a big meta. But anyway, guys, we're going to get into a small break before we get into this next game for you guys.
And welcome back, everybody, to the coverage of the grand finals here in the Middle East region. I am one of your peoples hanging out with you today. Life with Panda. Joining me again is Bryson and Palm. We are trio casting this event just for you all to have some fun and bring you all of the excitement. This is not an official Fortnite broadcast. I've seen a lot of you ask about it in the chat. We just wanted to bring you the action. We wanted to get together and do something special for the Middle East region. And we definitely thank you guys for coming to hang out with us and do something unique. Because again, not always do we have the opportunities to put on productions like this. So again, big shout out to the people behind the scenes, Robbie, Fung, putting this all together and making this happen. Now, one thing I want to say, we just saw a huge game number 1 for the day. We need to break this down. Let's start with, obviously, the Victory Royale moment. Again, another heal off to win the game. Do you think, Palm, this is going to be a continuing trend throughout today's games?
100% Panda. We look at fishing just coming into the meta. So many people are going to be running around the map, holding on to those floppers, those chug splashes, and those slurp fish, just really pushing towards that heal off. But we have just got word that game number 2 for day number 2 is just about to get underway. So you see 7-man Speedy and Hype dropping in on Craggy Cliffs. They're going to have this POI uncontested, so they're going to be able to take advantage of everything that Craggy has to offer. All of the free 100 shield for each of them with the slurp barrels. They've got a lot of loot around Craggy to utilize as well, and the fishing spots. See a decent spread out around the map. Doesn't look like a lot of teams are contesting each other except for the teams heading over towards that Dirty Docks region. But Speedy, Hype, and 7-man do have Craggy all to themselves. They're all sitting at 100 shields, and they're just setting themselves up for this end game, and they have all of Craggy just to work with.
Yeah, Craggy is a great spot to be in right now, considering, you know, you get that free health from the beginning because you're able to hit those chug barrels just right at the start in the main building. And then we have so many fishing spots, considering we are literally right next to the ocean. And you have the fish flopper island right next to them too. So, you know, we can get a lot of fish here. And like we've been seeing and talking about, these end games are based off of a lot of heals and heal offs, and we already saw it with Speedy's team last game, is that they were able to secure that victory royale because of the heals. But we're going over to Dirty now, where we do have some contested teams, and it looks like Khaloud's team was putting a few shots on Ferris, and they were able to break them down to 50 health, so they got to be careful here and hopefully get away from this fight or come out victorious with it too, so they can have those storm tags. But we know that these players want to play for that middle game. They want to play for that end game, and we're already seeing with Demon Joe, they only have a mere 2 points, so they're going to really want that end game because they need to get those placement points.
Yeah, and placement points, like we've talked about before, they are so important here. So while the shots are coming out, and this is a very contested POI, mind you, while the shots are coming out, they need to be mindful of this. They are really inevitably ruining their game right now if they do not end this engagement quickly. You see Minus in his inventory, only 30 shots in the AR. Now looking from the other perspective, you have Echo, Vance, and No Bluff. They are in a much better setup as of right now. You see them completely disengaging to the other side of Dirty Docks, probably hoping that they can completely disengage from this, because guess what? There's another 2 trios located here in Dirty, and if they're not careful, they could end up in the action.
Yeah, Dirty Docks, very heavily contested. See, No Bluff, Echo, and Ferris, one of the winners of, the winner of our last game. Swapping perspectives over to Minus, Demon, Jolo, and Khaloud just disengaging completely from that fight. Khaloud still sticking around, using his final AR shots to get some tags onto the players on the hill. Demon Jolo is going to be picking up one of the big trucks, sending that over the water to reunite them with Minus. So they're going to walk away from Dirty Docks with almost nothing to their name and a tiny bit of loot. They're going to have to just completely reset to come back in this one.
Yeah, and you know, with looking at Kalud, he had only 100 health, so one snipe, that would completely put him down and make the team be put in an unfortunate position. And now we're looking at Ferris, who unfortunately was eliminated, so now they're just a duo here, but we still have Bluff, who is trying to move himself outward, trying to get himself through Dirty. Looks like he is currently alone right now, as the rest of his team is, unfortunately, have been eliminated. So he's going to probably try and swim his way all the way out to Steamy, maybe be able to get his team back up. But we got another fight going on right outside of here. It looks like at the outer area, kind of by Holly, we've got Blaze X. He is trying to stay on height here as he's raining down some shots on the people below him. But then he's going to get up here and make sure no one else can test that height with him, because he knows that if he's able to keep that height, his team will be at a much, much better position here. But as he falls down, he's going to get into a more box fighting mode. Has the heals, has the guns to be able to box fight. As we see, he has the SMG, only with 19 shots though, so he's going to have to use it sparingly. He's going to have to be careful here. But they want that end game, considering they only have 4 points. They want to be able to live this fight and make it to that end game so they can get those placement points.
Yeah, I think at this point, like you see this team doing, it's time to disengage. You've gotten some shots in on each other. There you go. There's the Storm Surge. All right, now guys, it's time to rotate. Because again, this is not the point of the game that is important. Eliminations, while worth 2 points, are not the sole carrier of bringing you into those top 8 spots. You have to make sure you're taking advantage of those placement points as well. You see Blaze X, Bleed, and 3 Mori just continuing to disengage as this team now presses them even further. Completely, honestly, disregarding the other team that was just sitting down below in the box. Very, very interesting play on their part. But you know what? The fight is about to commence. Let's see who's going to come out on top.
Yeah, Mori not sitting at 200 shields. He's going to have 150 HP to work with. 3 minis, his only heals. He doesn't have any SMG ammo and almost no AR ammo. Immediately runs into another player. And he's going to be double teamed by this squad. That's going to be Tab getting the official elimination down. And they are just in a wrong situation. Bleed and Blaze X just sitting, trying to look for anything they can get. Looks like Bleed is going to try to run away and disengage. Doesn't have hardly any AR ammo. Trying to harpoon his teammate up to get him out of the situation. But Matab and his team are hungry for these eliminations. As Bleed now runs out of materials, he's going to be in a terrible situation, trying to use his harpoon to break through anything he can get. As another team is moving in, as we're going to see a big fight happen in Holly Hedges in just a few moments.
Yeah, there's been a lot going on just in this small area. We even saw earlier that Baylor and Diatra's team, they were in the same spot, but it looks like they actually disengaged to try and find their way out of there, because like I said, they were trying to play for that end game. But we got Blaze and Bleed here trying to get to a reboot so they can get Mori up, but unfortunately, like I said, there are quite a few teams in this area and they have very little health. They have very little health. If teams shoot at them, they will be cracked and people will know that their shield is gone, and that could cause for a heavy push from not just one team but multiple teams at once. So we're still seeing 87 people alive though, and Storm Surge is going to be something that's going to be coming here soon. So they're going to want to get their teammate up fast, because if another team sees that it's just a duo, they're going to be going right for them, because they know that might be some quick eliminations that will help them get their Storm Surge tags and be able to be above Surge.
Yeah, and remember, Surge is so important. The last thing you want to do is have to worry about that going into the mid and late game. But here it is, zone number 1, and tags are coming off for everybody, which means the balance of the Surge tags across the lobby is going to be interesting. We're going to see genuinely closer to the 3rd zone who is actually going to impact. But right now, you see Trick Shots and Helion just trying to make it out of Storm. Storm just taking so much damage away from them, on top of these other players who have decided now to push into zone and take on this engagement. Again, both teams probably clearly desperate for some Storm Surge tags so they don't have to worry about it here later in the game.
Yeah, Trick Shots and his team are just going to be held back by Mess, Killer Boy, and their 3rd. So they just are looking to get into zone. Trick Shots is running low on HP, only has 1 Chug Splash of white health to use. Gonna send it down into the river below. They see another team just down in the river below the ravine. Trick shots. I don't get the shots down, but there is a campfire down there in that ravine, and they're gonna have to go for that to survive. Helon is still even losing more and more HP. He's gonna be very close to elimination. They get that campfire lit just in time, so you're gonna have to camp out in zone here, med up, and they are still being attacked by this team on the height, hungry for those elimination points.
Yeah, fighting in the storm, especially with such little health, is something that is not a fun reality to be a part of. Luckily, they were able to find that campfire. That is something that will help them immensely, but we did hear in the distance, one of the hunters, considering his name is Mando, was out there sniping too, which just adds a little bit extra pressure because you do not want to be known as the team that got sniped by Mando in FNCS finals. Either way, it looks like Trickshot was not able to make it out as there was a team waiting for him directly right there, and Helen's team is just by himself trying to find a way in as he has very little health. He's going to have to carry the rest of this game by himself. Now we're going over to Meza, where they have actually no points yet, and we're going into that second game too, so as they're going to really want this end game here, they're going to have to focus themselves up to make it into this end game because, like I said, guys, they have no points, but they have a great inventory right now. Tons of AR, great builds. They have the heals, so if they can just get a good spot here soon as the second zone is going to start closing here, they will be all set up to play this.
Yeah, and that's what you need at this point. You need to be set up for success by now. So if you're still struggling to get material at this point, at this point in the game, it's not a good position for you to be in. Now you see all these teams conversing on each other. You see Meza, Lo-Fi, and Fairs immediately diving in. They must have gotten some significant tags. As you saw, the other players are a bit weak, and there it is. Storm Surge is now active and quickly takes out Messi. Meza just going to go for the thirst here, gather the material, and now they're set up better for success. That trio is wiped. So Fairs, Meza, Lo-Fi easily taking out this other trio. Now with the loot they are set up to do something pretty big here in the mid to late game. So we should definitely be keeping an eye on them as these games progress.
Yeah, and those are those first points of the day, those 3 eliminations, each of those players having won. And so they are just looking to build themselves up as we already have one game already done. One of the things that Lo-Fi is going right for are the crystals that he is utilizing. The crystals are one of the things on the map. It gives you some of the best rotation, the teleporting, going around, back and forth. A lot of people underrate them, but I, for one, have used a crystal in a fight and have dodged out of certain shots that have really worked out well. And now we're going to move on over towards the Salty Towers area. BlazeX Jans is going to be sitting in here, and BlazeX is actually going to be playing solo. Doesn't have any heals to his name, only 25 HP, 42 builds remaining. He does have that P90 that he can use to try and absolutely laser somebody. He is going to be surrounded by so many other teams in the Salty Towers area with absolutely nothing to heal himself.
Yeah, Blazix has put himself in, honestly, a pretty difficult position, but if he can keep himself alive, he can keep himself not known where he's at, then, you know, he could carry on and get some of those heavy placement points. But we're looking at, you know, a sand end zone, which we know sand end zones has the most movement. We have, like you talked about, the 0-point crystals, and we also have the sand that people are going to be able to, you know, scurry themselves around. And so that being said, we're in for a pretty active end game here as Storm Surge just has gone active, and we still have quite a few people that need to go down before Storm Surge can find itself off the board. But we're going to have to see a lot of teams make themselves forward into the zone, into the circle. And using these 0 points, you know, they can also be difficult at the same time, especially with the hills, because, you know, you can still take fall damage with those. So that could end a person's game pretty fast too. But we look at Outlaw right here, who has a decent amount of heals. So if they're able to just keep themselves uncontested and just play themselves through this circle and make themselves to that 7th, 8th zone and just play off of heals, they're going to get some heavy placement points too. So that puts them in a pretty decent position, also considering that all 3 of them are up and still on the board and not eliminated.
Yeah, and looking at this though, you see Salty Towers, two teams or three teams rather, in the actual area of this place, and one of those teams being one of our top 10 teams. So this is going to be an interesting point to see how these teams rotate. Fortunately for Abu, Outlaw, and Saud, they were able to make some big things or decent things happen there in game one. That's why they're able to walk away with 8 points. Now, though, it's about continuing to put points on the board. Remember, 30 points is a victory royale. So if you could walk away with a victory royale, you can easily turn around your tournament for you. Now, Storm Surge is no longer active. We've hit that 70 player mark, meaning that Storm Surge is no longer in effect here in zone number 3. However, that does not mean they are safe from Storm Surge here in future zones. It all depends on how many players, again, are left in each one of these zones. So you see these players now, they're going to utilize the sand. This is the first time today that we're actually going to get to spectate some sand play. So we'll see how they utilize this to their advantage, which honestly looks like it's going to work out in their favor.
Yeah, Saud, Abu, and Outlaw are just going to have an open rotation moving over. Not a lot of players focusing on them. The shots are going to come out onto them, but they are just going to be sitting inside zone. Maybe they're going to take a sit back. Saud is separated from the rest of the team, has his sniper out, looking for any shots he can possibly get off. There are still 70 players left in this lobby as we are moving towards this end game. Saud and Outlaw, like I said, they are right inside zone. They're going to have an opportunity possibly to look back at these teams behind them. You see 3 different teams all the way on the dead edge of zone.
Yeah,
holding back into that towers area.
They had a great dead side rotation too, just to find themselves in a spot that is very lowly contested. So they're going to be able to just kind of chill right here. And like you said, look for some shots on kids that are trying to move themselves back from that Salty Towers, trying to also go through that dead side rotation there. So this could be a really decent position for them, a really decent spot for them to get those extra elims and to get those extra points that they need. But it looks like Outlaw is going to get hit with that heavy snipe. So unfortunately they were able to, fortunately they were able to trade off and get a snipe over on the board to them too. That way that gives them a chance to heal. They're not going to push anything like that. They know that that could make them get lobby focused, that could ruin their game. But now that they were able to get one down, it looks like the other team is going to get pushed. So now they can be the ones to focus. They can be the ones to get those quick elims, which will put them up on the board, getting those extra points. Right now they're just raining on the teams with their ARs, looking for more knocks that they're able to hold.
Yeah, and the pressure is real. You see Saud got another knock there, so it looks like they're going to be able to potentially walk away with those 2 eliminations here in just a few moments as this trio converses on them. But here's the thing, right? Now look at the map. You see all of the other players that have already made their way into zone and set up themselves. So this is a unfortunate position here for Saud, Abu, and Outlaw. Now, it's all about making some big plays here. They need to rotate, recycle builds, because they cannot afford to utilize a bunch of extra builds here. But now, Storm Surge, again, active here in the 4th zone. And believe it or not, they are in a good position here as far as Storm Surge goes. 206 above, this is what you want to see. But here are all those players that we talked about just a moment ago that were on the map, now holding this team out from getting in.
Yeah, Saud, Outlaw, and Abu just went for that low ground area, and the zone is going to pull right over the bridge. They're going to do their best to move around that dead side rotation. Saud is holding on to floppers, trying to play that heal off game. So they're just pushing forward. There's really not a lot they can do. Saud is just trying to stay alive as Outlaw. No AR, choosing to opt into that P90 instead. So they are going to move just inside zone. They have an entire team right in front of them as a tarp's already been built out by Abu. They're going to be just inside this edge of zone. And they are just, we're going to take a breath after that low ground rotate they had.
Yeah, and we're going into Storm Surge that just went active, but really only one person needs to be eating them for it to go away. So this is going to be a fast surge. But right now we're getting into that half and half, but it looks like they were actually able to pull it their way. And now they're just stuck in a good position, and they could possibly hold height here if they wanted to, or just be able to hold their own and just stay where they're at. This way they can just, you know, rain shots on people that are trying to rotate into circle at the moment. But right now we're looking Outlaw. He's using that prestige aim that he has, and he's going to be using that SMG, that gold SMG, the gold P90 actually, to be able to just put shots on kids, to be able to get in people's box. The P90 is great for box fights, and it is great for those real close end games as you're just trying to rotate yourself through the moving zones. Like I said right there, absolutely, Blender's a kid, and he's going to be looking for another shot right here going into a box fight. This puts them in a big position to try and get some kills right here. If it happens, if it doesn't happen, I don't know, but this is going to be tough for all of them. We'll see how they go forward with this box fight. It looks like they're still putting shots in. Rains down on a kid, gets those shots. They're going to advance in. It looks like Saud is going right for it, but decides to come back as he sees that maybe this is a fight that they should disengage in. They got their tags. Now they're ready for those rotations, and that's what they really need to be worried about.
Yeah, rotations are so important at this point in the game, making sure that you're on a proper layer. You're not heavily contested on your layer. You understand who's on height, who's mid-ground, etc. This is what you need to be focusing on. It really good on Saud not to overextend there, because if he overextended, he could have potentially put himself in a compromising position. Now, though, let's look at this aerial view. You see so many players stacked on top of each other, and still a few players, it looks like, trying to make their way on the edge or away from the edge of zone. Now, though, switching over to Sauriano, Kai, and Modisk, this is one of our top 10 teams here, and you see why. They are holding the high ground, having great positioning and great loot to make some big things happen. Now, if they can maintain that high ground, this is their game to lose.
Yeah, they have an amazing positioning here as well. See, Serrano just dropping down, decides not to go all the way down. I thought he was going to drop down, look for some more eliminations. He is going to be peeking back into his zone. It's quite a few tags off. He is going to back off. They are 350 above Storm Surge. Is really working around. He's using a lot of materials to push forward here. Ultimately going to drop down off of the builds he was making and look back once more, trying to find anybody that he can forcibly eliminate from this game number 2. So we're going to move over to a bit of an aerial view. Modis, Kai, and Suriano are still holding on to this high ground. Modis is a little separated, though, as they are holding the ultimate high ground, and they have the builds to work with, and they can just rain fire upon these teams below.
Yeah, Sour is doing a great job too, as moving the team forward as he's taking this lower height here to be able to still put shots on kids, but we're still seeing Modus, who is holding in even a second layer of height, which makes it harder for somebody to take height, because they got to go up 2 layers of one team. So having that second layer ultimately makes them able to hold that height, while Modus is up there, while Kai and Sour are currently sitting on that second layer, raining down fire. This is going to be their game. He drops down another layer, but then goes back up because he still wants to hold that height. He needs to make sure everything is connected. That way no one is able to shoot him down. But they have so much ammo, so much to play with right here, that they're kind of dominating this playfield right now. They're saying, you know, this is our game. This is our height. And we are here to show you guys that. We are here to show you that we are winning this game, as they're looking for those elims. Right now, they currently don't even have an elim. They've just done tons of tags on kids, but they still are getting so much points from that placement and still holding that height. Either way, they're going to come out of this game victorious, whether they get that victory royale or not.
Yeah, and the victory royale is just moments away here as we're in the 8th zone. Modus dropping down real quick, trying to get additional tags. I gotta say, they have been a dominant force here on the high ground, continually tagging up these players and showing that they are a force to be reckoned with. Now Modus, though, needs to make his way back in his zone as he's reconnected comfortably. Here it is. The shots come out. Almost a knock there. Falcon RV so weak. You see Kai on the other end of the wall, and there it is. He takes out RV. Now it's just a matter of continuing forward. You see Modus taking some damage. He is going to have to slow down here and heal up, and Soriano is actually down. So that means no more Soriano here in the end game. It's just Kai and Modus They need to make sure they get back on the high ground. They have no builds here for Modus. He's trying to take shots. He's trying to get his refresh. He gets some major tags off, and there it is, a knock on Phantom. Now, they need to make some big things happen. These top two teams are battling it out here in the end game, and will it be enough? That is the question. No more material for Modus. The shots come out. Modus 1 HP to Dream, and no, he goes down to Kuki. Kuki's still alive. Kai by himself. Now it's just a matter of if Kai can hold on to the high ground. 0 builds in the inventory. He needs to make some big things happen here. The shots are coming out from every direction here in the 9th zone. This is the final moment. Will he come out on top? There it is. You see Niall Riley coming around the corner, just trying to get any kind of tags that he can get as well. This is it. This is the moment of truth. Will it be enough here on top of the balloon? And there it is, a big tag there, and it might even get the knock there due to Storm. He just needs to get in quickly though. There it is. Fahad goes down all up to Kai here in his charged shotgun, but no, it's not going to be enough. Scully ends up with Fahad and Mansour able to take away that victory royale. What an incredible in-game performance by this trio.
What an incredible one of the player, Kai. Wow, he had no builds that entire part of that end game, and he was able to maneuver all around back and forth. And so that is absolutely amazing by Kai and his team. And that was one of the games that we didn't see go into a heal off, as a lot of teams are using almost all their resources moving around that sand area. I didn't actually see a lot of fish being used either in that end game. That's something unique about this game number 2. A lot of people really didn't utilize those heals right there and bring it down to a down to the wire heal off win. We got to see all the action happening right at the end.
Yeah, and you know, that was still an impressive end. Even though Kai and their team didn't come up with the victory royale, they still had one of the most impressive gameplay styles right there. They were able to hold that height, and when Kai was alone, he was still holding that height. You know, he was using, when we were talking about the shotgun meta, he was using arguably one of the most controversial shotguns, which is the I'm totally blanking on my name right now. The charged shotgun, which he was able to hold though and get those heavy hits on kids. But now we're gonna look into the standings and see where people are at right now in the moment. We're looking still on top. We still got Kuki, Phantom, and Nyler are still with 220, putting themselves 12 ahead of second place, which is where Falcon, Kai, and Saurano and Modest are holding 208. That was a big game for them though. That gave them a lot of points that last game. So now we're going down to the top 8, where we still see some people moving themselves upwards, some people still trying to find themselves in this top 10 where the big money is going to be at.
Yeah, and you see No Bluff, Forest, and Echo still climbing that ladder. Again, showing that just because in the past reboot round winners have not been successful, doesn't mean that's going to happen today. So Echo showing all of the capabilities there for that trio. And I got to say, Chad, just if you don't know, these are the final moments that I personally will get to hang out with you all. I have to hop off here in a little bit, but it has been an exciting time nonetheless. Thank you guys so much for hanging out here. And with that being said, that is it for me. You're still going to get all the Palm and Bryson action that I all know that you guys love in chat. So thank you guys so much for having me. I'm going to be dipping off here, and let's go ahead and actually dive into a break.
Perfect.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to your coverage of FNCS Middle East as we are in day number 2 of the Grand Finals. My name is Paul, I'm joined by Bryson, and we are just about to get into game number 3 for you today, and we are having an amazing time here. We're seeing a lot of good action coming down to heel-offs on one end and coming down where we get to see all the action happening right down to those final moments.
Yeah, you know, we're also seeing a lot of these teams that were dominating yesterday. They're still taking this playfield pretty seriously today, and they're saying, you know what, we're not gonna slack. We're gonna still be winning these games, or we're gonna be placing high in them. They want those placement points. They want those kills, though, and we're seeing a lot of crazy end games like last one we saw with Kai, who, like we were talking about, ended the game in second place by himself and was able to still take out a few other players with that heavy charge shotgun. So I'm really excited to see what we get into with this next game. We're going into that third game right here, and we're going to see, you know, what some of these players are going to be able to do and some of this action as it goes down.
Yeah, Kai, one of the players who we called it last game, he had no materials at all, and he was running around using other players' builds. You saw him get on top of the supply drops balloon at one point, using that as natural cover. And so just using your natural resources around you to step it up, move forward. And we are actually about to move into game number 3 of the Grand Finals, day 2. So we see the battle bus has already launched. We're going to see a lot of players still going towards that dirty docks area. It is always heavily contested, as we saw from last match. We saw our reboot round winners, Echo, actually drop there. They're going to have an opportunity. We're going back over to 7-man Speedy and Hype, moving in towards this uncontested craggy cliffs that they seem to keep on getting.
Yeah, there's so many great spots to land right now in this season, and Cracky is one of them. Like I said, you get all that free health and you get those fish, which is just a huge advantage, especially for the end game here. So we're going to be seeing these teams, you know, really utilize this moment to really loot up, get that health, and get ready for these end games, as a lot of teams will not be fighting people. But we're seeing in the feed that Lo-Fi just took out General, so there is a little bit of fights going on. But other than that, we're going to see very little until later on in the second circle. So right now, we're just kind of watching Speedy, 7-man, and Hype as they are currently just taking these slurp barrels for themselves, getting that free health, and then they're going to go loot the rest of this place, grab Craggy, take it for their own, and then find themselves into circle here. So looks like they're even pulling zone, so they have a very small rotation that they have to make. So this is going to be big for them. So I'm excited to see, you know, how they play this game and where they go for it, because we know they are a big team. Winning that first game, getting that Victory Royale, are they going to be able to do it again? So right now, they're just getting ready, and they're going to show us whether or not they are capable of a second Victory Royale.
Yeah, Speedy, Hype, and 7-man, like you said, Bryson, they have this Craggy all alone to themselves. They're able to get all those chug barrels, just build themselves up. So you see some early fighting happening here at the Dirty Docks area as our reboot round winners, Echo and Ali, are pushing forward. They're going to be looking hard for these eliminations on FX, Ozzy, and Real Pro.
Yeah, we're looking at Dirty as a tough spot to be in right now, especially with, you know, multiple teams landing here. Multiple teams are going to have to fight it out. People, they don't want to share it. They don't want to share the spot. One team wants to be able to take it for themselves. So that being said, you know, this is going to be just the rest of the games that they are both choose to land here every game. One team is not going to come out on top. So knowing that there's a chance that you might not make it to even the second zone is a difficult position to be in. And we're going to see these guys, they don't care. They want to be able to take Dirty for themselves. So they're just handling it the way they can and, you know, looting it up as much as they can. But we have multiple teams here, and the fighting is really not going to commence anytime soon. So let's see what happens right here as they're just looting up, and you can hear shots going off in the background, people trying to get tags.
Real Pros doing the smart thing along with this team. They're going to claim everything in this building for themselves. The Ferret's going to be a little low, popping the minis, but they need to claim all that area for themselves, so they have a lot of real estate to work with on that low ground. Like I said, just constantly farming up materials, as while you're contesting somebody at a drop spot. You said, Bryson, only one team's gonna walk out on top, and normally it doesn't look good for the team that wins either. They're gonna be either low, not have the materials they need for the end game, or just not have enough heals. So contesting a drop already puts yourself in a bad spot, even if you win the fight. It's like Echo and his team are making a move down, though, trying to find anything they can, as the placement by Aziz, Real Pro, and FX. They're just gonna hold on to this low ground. They're gonna keep replacing all these builds. Drop downs do come in. Entire trio. Aziz unable to gets a knockdown onto Ali, as a full trio wipe goes down. Real Pro is going to fall, and that is going to be it for Echo, Ferris, and Ali, as Aziz and FX are going to win that fight with Real Pro coming down. But we see immediately the third team that contests pushing forward onto FX and Aziz.
Yeah, like you said, it's difficult to get in those off-spawn fights, and if you do, you usually want to get them right when you land, because once you're all looted and then all of a sudden you get taken out by another team, you know, those heavy off-spawn fights right there, the other team might use up all their heals, might use everything up, so even if you win, you might still be kind of scuffed. And we're seeing right now, even when they win, multiple teams are now just pushed right back up on top of them, putting them in what they thought was a great position, now a poor position. That is one of the worst parts is about being third-partied in Fortnite, is because you could think you just had the greatest fight of your life, but then another team could come in and elim you just like that. But right now, MK, he's trying to hold that height for his team as he's raining shots on others, showing them that this is his spot, this is his height, and he's going to be making a push by himself, it looks like. No, he's going to be going back to FKS. Didn't want to go on that alone. That could have ended up scuffing their game right there, but he's got a lot of stuff to work with. Just doesn't have the heals, so he doesn't want to get hit because he could get cracked pretty quick. And you know that when someone gets their shield cracked, we're going to see teams push right away because they know that one of those members is extremely weak. So right now, he's just looking for extra shots on teams, as we're seeing teams box fighting in some of these other buildings.
Yeah, like we said, there are 4 teams that are contesting here at Dirty Docks, and MK and his team FKS and Mashari are looking for anything they can. As a snipe comes off, Mashari is going to be tagged by a sniper, and we already said MK just wasn't sitting well on heals. They are going to get some bandages to try and get Mashari up, but they have no shields to spare, as another team is coming into Dirty Docks. Looks like a team holding the hill above. So Mashari, FKS, and MK had a kind of a difficult position moving forward, as they're going to be focused by these other 3 or 4 teams just sitting, waiting to push in and waiting for a team to get eliminated and trying to clean up the other kills. Like you said, Bryson, third partying is one of the things you got to be scared of, because you could have the greatest fight of your life, but your team could all be turned down by a third party coming in and just cleaning you up when you're trying to heal and trying to loot back up.
Yeah, and you know, Dirty is pulling in quite a bit of traffic right now, as we're seeing multiple teams pull themselves through. So not exactly the best spot to be, or for one team, maybe the best spot to be, because they might be able to come out with all this loot after all these other teams are taken out. The best position, though, that you could be in is a position that allows you to disengage right now, because you really don't want to be in these fights. And if you have to, you want to be able to be on top of it. You want to be able to have those heals just in case. And we're looking at these guys right here. Sherry, he has no heals whatsoever other than a little bit of bandages. So if he gets hit, people are going to know that he, does not have any shield, and they're going to be going right in for him. So he's looking for that box fight right now, kind of just keeping himself holding that wall. He's got decent guns though, so he's able to get some strong hits on people if he has that pristine aim, if he has those pristine hits. Right now he's trying to hold his wall, He has the mats, he has the ammo, so right now he can just kind of chill in this box. He has MK in there too, trying to hold with him. MK jumps out but gets hit heavy right there, breaking his shield. So now he's got to be careful because they only have one member with shield on them right now, and that is FKS. Everyone else is not in the greatest position, and I think the team knows that. I think the team fighting them knows that these guys are extremely weak at the moment. But for now, though, no one's gone down, which is still really impressive considering how little health they have. So we're going to see a pretty hefty box fight go on here, and I'm curious to see if the team pressuring them stays here and keeps pressuring them, or if, you know, Mello and them, they decide to end up just disengaging. No, it's not worth it maybe to waste those mats or waste that ammo or waste those heals for that matter, because we're only in the second zone and there's 80 people left still. So people are really going to be fighting to get to that fourth, that fifth zone and to still be alive.
Yeah, Sherry, we see that they do get zone pulls towards Dirty Docks. So that means that this fight is just going to prolong itself for even longer. Mello, Wavy Cloud, and Hyper still hungry for these elimination points. And like you said, Bryson, I think that they know that there's very low HP on FKS, MK, and Masheri. So Masheri looks for a snipe shot, unable to connect, as this fight is just going to take longer and longer and longer. And Masheri and FKS and MK, they're on the back foot. They have to defend. They do have a wall broken out. They're going to find an opportunity to run out and try and recover themselves at the end here, as they are going to completely disregard of the team behind them in Dirty Docks, and they are just going to run. They are getting out of there as fast as they can.
Yeah, what a great disengagement right there for them, you know, having so little health that they want to make sure they can get out of there and play on another side of the map. Now, luckily, it looks like they have those floppers and they have those bandies, so they could be stuck in the storm for a little bit if they really needed to, and they could kind of hide and find a different way into the zone. You know, that place was very congested, but it looks like the team is pushing out there towards them, so this might be bad. This might mean they're gonna have to fight it. But we're moving down to Steamy, the POI right next to Dirty. It looks like we have a few teams in Steamy that are fighting it out, and some of them are in the storm kind of waiting. I think they have the idea of maybe if we sit in the storm and wait, the other team will leave, but for the moment it does not look like that is happening. So they're gonna have to look for some shots, but they have health, they have ammo, they have everything they need. So it's just a matter of fact of, are they gonna take the stacks or are they gonna wait? The bad thing we know though is these kids, they have pristine aim. So just right now we're gonna see Reed, as these other people are stuck in the air moving slowly, he's gonna look to rain shots on him, and we know that when you're in the air and you're getting shot at, you can't do anything about it. You can't build, you can't fight back. So it kind of puts you in a tough position. But Raid and Lizai and Snowy are deciding, no, let's just get out of here. It's not worth it. They're going a different way. Let's get ourselves into circle. They are great on surge tags. They don't really need any more tags, looking at being 1,000 above. In 74 people left, we're going to see Storm Surge barely hit here for a second, and then we're going to have to wait until 50 Storm Surge. So right now, they're just matting up. They're in a great position. They're actually in a phenomenal position with their heals, with their ammo, with all their loot just in general. But now we're moving into the sand, where people looks like they're going to be fighting too, and like we've seen in the sand before, this is an easy place to get into some crazy fights, and it's an easy place to disengage because you can just take the sand, or you can just take, you know, some crystals and just move your way out of here, which looks like exactly what we're seeing right now is a team just, I think it was Solis that just completely got themselves out of the fight, but these guys unfortunately are still stuck in one.
Yeah, you can use that sand, like you said, Bryson. Amazing for fights and amazing to actually just run away and say, I don't want to take this fight and run. We see S-Dark and OMP and RSTN pushing forward through the sand. They're making that rotate towards Colossal Coliseum. And they are just utilizing that sand completely and totally. They have several players around them also using the sand rotation. Actually going to be a little bit of blocking from some of the players. They're gonna have to jump out here though, as right in front of them they have that pathway, and Digger is still pushing forward, and he's gonna get shot at while in the sand. His team is gonna be there just in time to tarp for him, but shot's gonna come out as well, and he is going to get tagged. His teammate is gonna drop him some minis to pop, but they are just outside. They got away from that. They're 31 above Storm Surge though, Sticker opts into taking that big pot. Moving now into the Coliseum, you have Took, MJ, and 3bood just inside of Coliseum. Coliseum is one of those places where I personally don't enjoy fighting because you can't build a lot in there. Moving just outside Coliseum, towards we see a lot of players contest. I think we have about 2 teams right on this location. Repeat, Sky, and Exxon are currently just outside of the zone, looking to find tags that they can. They see a team rotating out in front of them. He does have the sniper rifle, takes a shot, unable to connect. He has time to reload, takes another shot, unable to connect as well. Speedy is responding back with sniper fire as well. And Repeat does have to be careful. He does have players directly behind him, and they aren't fully inside zone yet. So this is going to be an interesting area for Repeat, Spy, and Exxon to be holding, as they are not directly inside zone. They do have some bouncers that they can utilize. They have these sniper rifles. They're going to try and rain fire on those other players rotating in.
Yeah, and like we were talking about Storm Surge, even though Storm Surge is dropped, we saw a lot of players with very little above, which means that they're going to be looking for some heavy Surge going into this 50 Storm Surge that is going to be hitting here right as the 4th zone starts closing, or at least we're going to be able to see the warning. And that's a big thing right now with snipers, is using that as the meta, is you can get those quick tags, those, 265 to the dome, or even that 105, 110, 115. That is great for putting yourself up on Storm Surge. So sometimes you might not get the elimination with it, but you're still going to get a lot of Surge. So right now we're looking at, we have Raid and Snowy and Lizai as they're playing a little low ground, where we have 2 teams right above them fighting. So it's really just going to be a matter of fact, are Lizai and Raid going to be able to get out of here as some of the teams are raining down on them? Or are they going to try and wait for these 2 teams to fight and then leave? Or maybe even third party? Because right now we see Phantom and Nyler and Kuki are just kind of chilling right now. They're waiting in their boxes, even though they're right next to people. I think they're trying to find a position where they can put fire on the people below them and see if the teams with them will also put fire, getting a little bit of a lobby focus. We know that is one of the biggest possibilities that we see endgame, is one team gets hit and then the rest of the lobby decides, okay, we're gonna join in on this fun, and they start taking the team out with them. And that is just not a position you want to be in. You do not want to be the team getting lobby focused. And it looks like exactly what we're seeing right now, as teams are trying to make themselves in from the zone. We got Speedy in them trying to make themselves towards circle as they're moving from zone, and everybody sees that. So if you're already in circle, then you're in the best spot in the map right now, because it looks like we have quite a few teams that are still trying to get in circle, and we haven't even gotten close to getting elim points yet. Not elim points, placement points, because there's only still 24 teams left, and we need to see 17 teams left before we can start seeing those placement points. So people are going to really be trying to put people under and really be trying to eliminate these teams as they're coming in from the zone.
Yeah, we're going to see a lot of people playing in risky situations. Surinai, Modisc, and Kai placed second last match. They're going to play directly underneath another team. They're going to be looking for tags, as they are at 49 points on the day. Great showing, as we talked about last game. Kai solo clutching all the way up until second place. They are sitting inside zone, and they are going to look outside and try to find any of these teams that they can possibly hold in and not allow them access into the zone. Surinai is looking for anything he can get with his AR. Has over 400 AR shots ready to go. One of the things that we see Surinai, Modisc, and Kai using is that charge shotgun. Shots coming out. Surinai is able to get tags on this team rotating in. They are 220 above Storm Surge, so they're going to hold this position and focus this team that is pushing in. We see a lot of teams starting to be pressured, moving into the zone. But there's not really a large opportunity for Surinai to get any tags. And immediately as I say that, Surinai over peaks, and he is going to get sniped, having to use his minis to get up better and move over. We're going to see Raid, Lizai X, and Snoka sitting right on the side of this mountain, as they are looking directly above them. that Kuki and his team are on top. RB, Snowy Tro, and NM7 still going to be inside zone, and they're going to be looking for tags as well. Some freshly built builds across the river, and they are still going to be underneath an entire team moving forward. So they're in an interesting situation where they are just stuck where they are, not really having an opportunity to move yet. And Zone is going to pull all the way across. RV, Snowy Tro, and NM7 are going to have an interesting time rotating around that. The team on top of them is already getting to business. Snoka, Raid, and Lizai already moving forward, popping peppers, getting that boosted movement speed, and they're going to be running their way all the way through zone.
Yeah, they have a difficult rotation to make here, especially with zone pulling so far, but it looks like they're able to do it pretty much uncontested as long as they can find the times where other people are being shot at, other people are being focused, and that's their best time to move. So right now, it looks like we're looking at Speedy, 7-man, and Hype. They're getting themselves in the circle, which they pretty much put themselves in to that half and half, but they got a few people ahead of them, so they want to make sure those people know we're here, and we're here to stay. The people ahead of them looks like they dropped down. It's Messi and Ag Pro. This puts Speedy and them in a great position to kind of frag out and look for shots, and you know they have the guns to do that. We're seeing those scars in their inventory, and the scars are the best guns to really just get heavy shots. But now Speedy's taking a box with here, gets that 92 on him, and he's using that heavy tack, which the heavy tack we know can get some pretty hefty hits here. So they're kind of just chilling now as the teams that they're box fighting have moved themselves out of the way, have decided we got to disengage because we still need to get those placement points. There's still 18 teams left. We have seen no placement points on the board yet, but they're about to start hitting here as other people are going down. We saw NIJ just went down in the feed, so other people are going to be going down too here. He was able to get that cone in that box. Great piece control by him, making sure that that box is his and that anybody that gets into it is able to just find no way out, and he's able to get that elimination. So we move over to Dex, Vag, Nayar, and I4X Pro, and they are in a very interesting position because we see that Dex was able to get the snowball launcher. As you guys don't know, the snowball launcher is one of those special items that you can get from the AIs, but they're really hard to get in competitive because you have to use so much gold. So it's very unheard of to see teams use it. So if a team does have it, it's gonna throw off other teams. People just won't expect to see it. And what it does is it makes people have ice on their feet, so then they slip around everywhere, which can hurt people and can also help the team itself if they need to move in the zone fast. But we're watching Hype, Speedy, and 7-man as they're trying to tunnel themselves forward. They take that bouncer rotate because they know they're a little bit high, but Hype accidentally gets stuck, putting himself a little bit behind, but he was able to get his way back up. And now we're looking over at Dex as they're going to be looking to take height and use that snowball launcher to rain down on other teams, because this is going to send teams into a confusion and throw them into the zone. A very strategic play by them that we're looking at right now.
And Dive does have, Dex Fight does have that snowball launcher. We see that used in every other region, using the snowball launcher on height, as you can use it to freeze other players through builds. They're holding on to this. Now, ultimately, kind of this mid-layer high ground is not as high up as we normally see it, as the rest of them are being pushed down the mountain, as 4X Pro is going to actually be eliminated on the low ground. Dex Fight is going to try and push forward. He's going to be immediately pushed by another team, and that is going to be unfortunate for Dex Fight. He's setting himself up on the high ground, drops down, tries to assist his teammate, unable to get it, and now we're down to Wagner. Going to be soloing this low ground, 2 builds to his name. He's got to look for something here. Going to need a pretty decent refresh. Does get an elimination onto Kai. He still only has no builds remaining. Going to start getting tagged up. He has to break his way through every single tarp, and he is going to get eliminated from the side. Unfortunate, but that is going to be the end of his game number 3 of the day. Phantom is sitting on high ground with this sniper rifle, looking for anything he can find. He has 3 eliminations. Kuki and Nurali have 5 and 1. They are going to be pushing forward. Nurali right outside the zone. This is our first place team at the moment, looking to extend their first place lead even more. Phantom looking for the tags. Has 31 builds left. He's going to use that to create himself a quick little box. They are holding on to this ultimate high ground. Thirsty for a kill, gets an elimination. Beautiful piece control onto NM7. Phantom has to back off a little bit as tags are coming out onto him. He has all the shield in the world he can use. Beautiful hard tags coming out. Raining fire from above with his AR. Teams running off in. Phantom is holding on to this high ground, taking all the elimination for himself. 6 eliminations for Phantom, 7 for Kuki. They are pushing forward. They are dominating this lobby as another player is sitting right outside of zone. Phantom is pushing forward. Kuki does go down. Phantom does get the elimination out as Phantom just pushing forward. He is hungry and thirsty for these elimination. Team gonna take high ground with the bouncers. Phantom and Uralai immediately bouncing up to contest. Last player left in the lobby, 112 coming out. Phantom has to be careful. This player is very low, but Phantom has to be concerned about his HP. And wow! Phantom and Uralai unable to clutch up in the end. Kings X7X able to solo clutch it out for his team. Phantom and Uralai were absolutely dominating that high ground, but King was on the bottom and was able to clean it up. What a turn of events in that end game, Bryson.
Yeah, you know, I didn't expect that, especially with how stacked Phantom and them were. They really were looking to get that victory out to win that game, but unfortunately, you know, Kings, or fortunately for Kings, was able to jump out and get those last 2 eliminations, ultimately giving his team the victory royale. Now, still, Falcon and them are okay. They're still going to be looking at them in a high place, but they're probably still in first place, especially getting that second place there. But seeing Kings do something like that, that is a huge clutch moment for him and his team. I bet you they are just celebrating big time right now, freaking out, because that puts them right back up with the momentum that they need. So I'm really excited to see where they go for these next few games, because, you know, they got a big chance to move higher up. But right now, we're going to go look at the standings and kind of see what some of these players are doing right now and, you know, where they're exactly looking at on the leaderboard. And like I said, we still have Phantom, Kuki, and Nyler in first place with 277 points, while second place is all the way down to a mere 221. So, you know, this is going to be a tough position for everybody else to get themselves up. You're really going to be fighting for that second, third, and fourth position as long as, you know, the first place is able to keep that first place. But right now we still have 5 through 8. It still has a decent amount of points, but we don't see him in the 200s yet, like the top 3, top 4 are. So we're still gonna be looking at some other teams climbing themselves upwards. We still have, you know, Yonks and Kurito and FHD. We've seen them do a little bit of action these past few games as they're trying to get themselves back up there. And we see Snowy and we see Reed and we see Lazy, who are in 15th place right now, and they had a decent, okay end game last game, but it wasn't enough. It wasn't enough to get them to where they need to be, but they still have so much stuff that they could do here.
Yeah, and right at the end there, Kings had an amazing job, but still commanding lead by our first place team, Kuki, Falcom, and Niralai, leading by 50 points. But we are going to take a short break as we are moving on with our coverage of FNCS Middle East.
Cool, I'll be right back.
And welcome back, everybody, to your coverage of FNCS Middle East. I am Palm, joined by Bryson here, and we are ready to bring you all the action moving into, I believe, game number 5 for on the day. We see a lot of crazy stuff happening. We did see a heal off in the first game, but we're seeing all the action happening, and there's a commanding lead. And we are moving into game number 5 on the day. We're going to kick this right off. Bryson, why don't you take it away for us?
Alrighty, let's get into the next game. Let's see what these teams are about to do. We're going to be starting off with Phantom, Kookie, and Nyler, as they're kind of right out by Coliseum. Now, we see them looks like they're a little spread out, but they know that they have this whole area to themselves. We still actually have 2 more games left. This is game 4 of the day. That being said, let's see what they're able to do here. Like we see on the board and on the map right now, they actually have this whole entire area to themselves. So as long as they can loot up before anyone else comes in and contests it, they're going to have a lot to play with, which will put them in a really high position here. Now, they got to be careful, though, as we're looking at one of them is all the way out at Risky by themselves, with the other 2 are at Coliseum. And we see those teams that are getting that slurp truck, those pink arrows, they could easily make a rotate in towards Risky. And if that guy is by himself, then he just might be out of luck, you know, and he might have to end up being elim'd, which is going to be unfortunate for the other team, because it's going to be hard for them to get over there and get his card too, because if they're that far away and they're down a man, they do not want to have to get to a fight to a 2v3. But we're getting back over to Speedy and them, who are in Craggy Cliffs, and they have decided that Craggy Cliffs is their home. This is where they are to stay for these matches. No one else has contested them. They have kept it the entire time, and we've said many times, Craggy is a great spot to be in, especially for the health, for the fish, and for the great loot that you see here.
Yeah, Speedy and 7-Man Hype, they really have just shown that they own Craggy Cliffs. I don't know the story of these players moving into this, moving into the finals, but they seem to have commandingly said that this is our drop spot. You're not taking it from us, and they have held it every single game. Like we always talk about, Craggy Cliffs is one of the locations on the map that is really just set yourself up. You get immediate 100 HP, and it's just really good. You work forward, you got all the materials you want. There's enough metal in the buildings around, all the wood surrounding us, all the buildings are made out of that wood and brick. You can literally set yourself up for an entire end game just by dropping at Craggy Cliffs.
Yeah, and we're looking at, you know, Speedy, 7-Man, and Hive. They've got a lot of points right now, 99 points. That puts them super high up on the board. I believe we're looking at them at, you know, 2nd or 3rd place right now, and that's a great position to be in. So really, for the moment, especially with how they have circled, they kind of just can chillax a little bit, you know, hang out and say, you know, we're just gonna vibe and wait for other people to come towards us. But we got some other players, you know, in different areas, they're fighting too. So we're gonna see here soon exactly what other people are doing, because not a lot of teams have gone down. We're looking at Snowy, Lizite, and Raid. It looks like they are currently in a fight right outside of Steamy Stacks at the houses out there. So this is going to be unfortunate for whatever team doesn't make it out. Now, Snowy was able to get that fight as they were phased through their cone. He was able to get that 44 dink to the head. So now we're looking at them. Lizite, Raid, and Snowy are holding height on the team that's below them, but they got to be careful. You know, they don't want to lose this, and we know that sometimes things don't happen the way you think they will. So we got Ray, P5, and SM Psalm. They're trying to hold this house. They're making this house their own. They're trying to piece control everything. That way, if a box fight does start here, they will be able to just have those quick edits, get those quick shots on them, and be able to take the eliminations home and get to that end game. So we're really curious to see what we have going on here. Now, they don't have the greatest loot. This isn't the best spot to be able to share a loot path for, because there's not going to be a lot. There's really only enough for one team here. So we see as Ray was able to put heavy shots down and be able to come up forward and take this height. Like I said, guys, anything could happen. Even though they didn't have it, they have it now, and they get that quick shots. He gets that knock on Lizai. He's saying, like I said, this is our house. These are our houses, and no one is taking that from us. And now they're able to just rain in everybody's box and get those quick hits, making it a 3v2 situation right here. as we're looking at this box right now. He gets that wall, gets that quick peanut butter edit, moving himself forward. They're going to get that next knock. Looks like right here, gets those heavy shots, and they were able to take out that team, securing the eliminations for themselves.
Yeah, P5 doing a great job. We see the BM come out from SM Som, but P5 doing a great job. We saw that during that entire fight, SM Som was holding onto the low ground, but P5 had moved his way all the way up onto the high ground, and they set themselves up there, were able to take high ground, get the shots down, able to come out on top in that fight and get those eliminations. Now as we move over towards Holly Hedges, here we see Abu, Solid, and Outlaw. They have 24 points in this day number 2. And Abul is going to back off. He's starting to get sniped at. He is sitting really well on his heels, though. 2 chug splash, a big pot, 6 minis to his name. Just has to work on getting some of those wood mats up, some of that brick mat up that he's working on. As there's this Holly Hedges area, has several teams around it. Abu and Outlaw are going to start getting out of there, heading over to the teammate Sod, who did separate themselves from them. They're going to be pushing forward into another team. Demonson, Blind, and Kaka Root are right forward, and they're going to hop into a car of their own. Cars being utilized for the rotation like crazy. Blind going to be holding down, building out. And Abu is going to come into another team here. There's a lot of teams all in this close Holly area. We see another team up in the top right-hand side, just kind of disengaging themselves. They kind of split up. But Abu and Outlaw are going to hop into a car, and they're going to wait temporarily until they get moving, heading over their teammate Sod. And they're just going to push forward. They are being tagged by Zone, able to get out of it just in time. So they do have to push forward. Several teams are all the way around him. Sniper shots coming out from both players, unable to connect for either one, but they're still just going to be pushing forward towards this Salty Towers area, where we see a concentration of teams directly in front of them.
Yeah, quite a bit of traffic going on right now. That's why you saw Blind in them. They got out of there right away. They knew that this was not the spot to be, and it looks like everybody is trying to get out now. Looking like no one actually really went down from those fights, but it looks like Outlaw was tagged there with a snipe. Wow, what a great snipe hit. Looks like hit by Kings as he was driving, and Outlaw was in the car. That is not a position you want to be put in, because it's really hard for you to combat that yourself. And luckily, nobody's pushing. I think that was just really a Storm Surge tag. We still have 81 people left, and we're about to see Storm Surge hit here in like 5 seconds, and we're gonna see what this team needs. Do they need to get extra tags, or are they sitting pretty? We'll find out here soon, but it looks like they're going to be looking for a sand rotate, as they want to just kind of hang out here. They kind of want to wait, and then they're going to rotate around this right side, trying to get away from Diatwood, Kings, and Baylor, because that is not a team they want to go into. That is a team that actually got first one of the weeks of FNCS, one of the weekends, and they know that. They probably know who they are, as everyone kind of has their own signature skins that they're wearing for these teams, which is just crazy to think about, that when you go into a team in these end games, you know what team you're probably fighting, because you've done your research. You know the teams, where they're landing. Everybody knows what spots to contest and what spots not to contest. But we look at P5, Ray, and SMS. They're out still by Steamy, and you know what? They're wanting to use Steamy for their advantage to get out of here. But we're looking at Meza now. He's in a little bit of a build fight. It looks like Ferris has gone down, and it's only him and Lo-Fi, so they're going to want to be taking this fight. It looks like it's a bit of a 2v2 situation here, but a 2v3 now, as the other team was able to get the revive. This does not put them at a good advantage. They wanted to be able to get them down, but he was able to hit the guy that was revived for a 33 white, hopefully being able to eliminate him soon, get him back down. There was almost a knock there, but Meza is at an extremely low amount of health right now. This is not a spot to be in right here. This is not the spot to be in. Other teams might see this, might start putting shots from the side, especially if you're up here on a mountain. You are well known to others. Others will be able to see you, and people on that might hit you with snipes because you're already low, as we're seeing right now. Meza has no heals. He is literally 10 health. He needs to hit somebody. He needs to get a knock so he can get that quick 50 health added to his health in addition. But right now, he's just trying to find a spot where he can. He gets that reboot card, and it's only him now. It's only him now, but there's other teams here. There's other teams. So now he's going to try and probably find his way out of here. He puts a shot on somebody, showing that he's still there, trying to combat, but now he's saying, okay, I got to go. I got to get my team up. I do not want to be alone here, especially with that little of health. But he is so far above damage threshold too. So if he can just disengage from these guys, he's not going to have to worry at all about storm tags. And it looks like he was able to get into the sand without getting shot. So now he's going to try and find a quick rotate, maybe over to Salty, maybe over to Coliseum, but somewhere in that area so he can get his teammates back up, because right now he is alone and he has very little health. Was scared there that he almost took a little bit of fall damage too, but Meza is still kind of in the background. He's still hanging out and he's still got a little bit to play with.
Yeah, Meza, the last remaining survivor on his team, 10 HP. He is literally 1 AR or 1 SMG tap away from losing. Is able to find the small fry all the way in the bottom of the butter barn and some corn and other heals to use, but he is in a terrible situation right now. 15 builds and no shields as other teams are moving all around him. He is in such a hard spot. He is able to move forward. Nobody really sees him right now. He's going to have an opportunity to get some shots off in front of him. He's still just going to disengage, just trying to wait. He is the definition of what somebody would call, he is in shambles at the moment, pushing forward, just unable to find anything, as we are going to have what looks like another sand zone. Moving over, though. We're going to move over into Meza. Meza, like we just talked about him, one of the last players left on his team. He has people directly in front of him. He's going to sit down. He's going to sit in front of this rock, hop into the sand, and use that opportunity to move around. Everybody is still around him. And it looks like he's going to be stuck at the moment. And we're going to move over into MK, FKS, and M. Shari. As materials are being dropped for MK. MK has that golden AK. So the AK is a lot of... There's some mixed feelings about that AK. As the rocket launcher shots come in, unit QNDX have the rocket launcher. That's something that MK, FKS, and M. Shari have to be careful about. MK looking for any tags he can get. Getting a tag from above, was unable to completely tarp. Has to take an opportunity to reload and step back. He does look good on builds, but he is just not looking good on HP. As apples are being thrown out, not something you normally see. Normal player holding in their inventory. MK looking for anything he can get, pushing forward, and they are not inside zone here. They have quite a little bit to go in, and if they do end up getting out of this scenario, they're going to be pressured by another team. Moving over to Fahad, Mansour, and Scully, taking over just inside of the zone, building up around this place where I believe that Outlaw once stood, the NPC that offers that pistol. So they are going to be breaking around, and they're just going to take a step, and they are setting themselves up. 115 builds for Vahad, 2 floppers, and they have quite a bit. They have an extra harpoon in there if they need that. Just setting himself up inside of zone as all the other teams are focusing on rotating in. And there's a supply drop right north, and other teams already going to claim it. They're just going to take everything here. Peace control it all. Make it so that everything is theirs. There's no chance of another team surprising them coming in.
Yeah, you know, they are really peace controlling this entire spot. They're taking this house for their own. Now, at what cost, though? We're looking at a little bit of brick here. They got to be careful. It looks like they're mainly just trying to recycle wood and build with wood, but they all aren't capped out on mats, and that's something that could, you know, get them in the end here. But we're seeing these other teams. It looks like Brickles, Exploit, Dom, they are the ones that are holding hype. But we're over at Genel and Sod. They're kind of looking through these, you know, their scopes. They're looking to get some big snipes on kids. They want those, you know, quick elims, because look at Saud and them. They only have 6 points, so you know they're really banking on getting a few kills here, getting that placement points, or else, you know, they might they might be just too far below to really move themselves upwards for the rest of this tourney, considering we still have 2 games left over after this. Now we're looking at the number 1, the people that are in first right now, Kuki, Phantom, and Nyler. They still have 116 points. We still have a few more teams to go down before we start getting placement, but they are in a beautiful spot. Beautiful amounts of ammo, beautiful guns, and so much heals and movement. We're looking at peppers. I'm sure they have bouncers. They even have the 0-point rocks and sand to get in, but they do have a full haul. So they're going to have to make themselves in quick before anybody focuses them, because they're the team that people want to make sure don't make it to endgame. They're the team that people are watching. They're the team that people want down first because they know that they're dominating and they don't want to dominate anymore, because other people want a chance at this first place. So we're looking at them. They barely got themselves in. They're kind of making a little bit of a tarp here using their metal, and it looks like they're still pretty decent on metal in all their builds in general. So they're going to be able to play a pretty firm endgame here, and they're going to be able to just look for some hefty picks. It looks like they have 1 kill too, so that might put them a little bit up on Storm Surge, but it also might put them below, so they might be looking for other plays too here. But they're going to be just kind of looking to team shot on somebody, and it looks like that's exactly what they're doing right now. Is they're looking at Demon's Den, and now they're looking at Kakarot. They're trying to put shots. He's going over to them. Nyler, because Kuki and Phantom are almost in this box by themselves. Nyler's getting over to them. They were able to take Demonson down, putting a quick shot on him. That gives them that Storm Surge, that gives them the heals, that gives them the ammo, that gives them everything they need, and they're still pushing. They want this whole team down. They know that they're weak. They know that Kakarot is weak, and they want to take him down with them and make sure that that team has no chance of getting any farther in this game. And they were able to, one of the teams around them was able to do just that. So now they are able to take some of this loot and go back into their own tarps, and they have a lot to play with now. Look at those heals. Look at how many fish cats they have. Peppers. They're going to be able to on this end game. But we got Snow, NM7, and RV. They're holding height for the moment. Well, Nyler and everybody is kind of just chilling in their own spot, but they're going to have a lot of mass that they're going to be able to just move around. Well, Ray, Som, and P5 are kind of in a mid position here, just looking through cones, waiting to see what happens in the next 20 seconds, because in the next 20 seconds we're going to see where half and half is at, and that's going to be the first big rotate, as people are going to try and get themselves in half and half and not take any damage, or at least take very little to where their shield doesn't drop, and then that they can secure themselves a position for the 6th zone, the first big moving zone.
Yeah, moving over to King's team. King was one of the players who clutched up the last zone as half and half does come out. This team, Baylor, Kings, and D'Outwood are going to have to move quite a bit to get into this one. Not the max pull, but still going to have to go quite a bit. We see NM7 and RV sitting on the high ground, waiting to watch and wait for those teams to start rotating. P5, Ray, and SM Som are still just going to get this early rotate in. They are looking to find anything they can. P5 does not have a great shotgun, sitting with that great tack. Like we said, the shotgun meta right now is so dependent on opinions and what you'd like, and P5 probably doesn't want to be stuck with this tack. So we move over to the team in first place, Phantom, Kuki, and Nyler. They do have that RPG, picking it up earlier in those fights. Have 2 eliminations to their name. They are going to be pushing into this half and half, just setting themselves up. The Phantom, the player that we are spectating, has all the builds he could want. Just still pushing forward in. It's claiming all the builds in their area as teams are moving on top of them. It's Phantom, Kuki, and Nyler would just like to increase their lead by even more. Phantom starts to think about using the RPG. Does have 4 more shots to use with it, as this other team just needs to push up and get in. This is MK just trying to push in. We're going to step back, take a look at the people coming in. We see P5, SM Som still sitting inside zone on the low grounds. Back over to Phantom. Phantom still looking for anybody moving in below him. Still reloads his RPG, has an opportunity. P5 is able to get a kill down in our bottom right-hand feed. So they are going to still set themselves up, still moving forward in this. Phantom and everybody holding onto the low ground. Phantom can be deadly with this rocket launcher he has. Can absolutely destroy the person on high ground. That's one thing when taking high ground you always have to worry about. Does the person below me have that rocket launcher? on this edge of zone. We have 17 teams remaining. Placement points are just kicking in, and so comes in as we see Kuki and Phantom and Nyler pushing forward onto height. They're able to take it. Pistol shots come out onto NM7. Kuki pushing forward, and Phantom's gonna clean up RV. Nurali gonna hit the bouncer along with his teammate. Rocket launcher coming down. Phantom holding onto the high ground. Only 50 HP to his name. Has to find some sort of opportunity. Gets taken down while moving up by Exxon. And so Kuki and Nyler are the last two remaining to close this match out. Kuki is set up on heals. 5 chug splash, 6 minis, 3 big pots. He has all the materials he could want. They are 622 above that Storm Surge as we're moving into the final moments.
Yeah, and you know, they really wanted that high ground there because they had that RPG, and we can see the RPG is a one-of-a-kind gun right now, as you can really only get it from the POI, not the POI, but the AI and the Hydro Dam, or you might be able to find it with the Shark, but that is extremely rare. So usually we only see one RPG endgame, and the teams that have it, they like to show that they have it, and that's what they were trying to do there, is take that high ground, but unfortunately, it wasn't successful, as you know, Phantom went down. So right now, they're going for more of a low ground play. They're a little bit mid right now, but they're going for down a little bit. Electrocity Kuki was able to get a quick tack on people right now. The tack is a great gun to have endgame, as you can just get those quick shots. It is way more easier to frag out in an endgame with the tack than it is with any other game, with any other gun. But we have seen today that some of these teams have utilized guns like the Charge and have just taken people out endgame with it. Now, we still have quite a few people making their way through the endgame. We saw Rupit on them on height, but right now we're looking at Phantom, the first place team, so they're trying to get that placement point, but they're kind of in a bad position, only having 2 of them and being on low ground, but they do have the guns. They do have the heals, and we're looking at Kuki's getting those quick shots as he's trying to rotate himself in, but they're focusing on those rotates, and they're playing hip to hip. This is what separates, you know, the okay pros from the great pros, the pros that play together. You need to be together on these end games. You cannot get alone. You cannot get separated, because if you do, you're going to have a whole trio come up on you, and you're going to be able to do nothing. But when you play hip to hip, that puts you in the best position. And like I said right there, they were able to get those shots on Saud and get that quick elim as they're both moving their way inwards, and it looks like they're going to be taking one, is going to be trying to get into that boy's box, but he wasn't able to. Now Nyler is moving around. He's stuck out in the circle in the zone, so he's going to be taking fish, but he only had 2, and it looks like another team knew that, and they went out to find them, but we still have 15 people left, and it looks like Speedy and them are quickly getting themselves into zone. They have very little health left to play with, but they have a great guns though, so if they can get some quick shots, then they will be doing good. But 7-man unfortunately got taken out, so it looks like it's just Speedy and his duo. But we got IX on Spy and Rapid. They are holding height right now. Now this is easily the best position to be in right now. You want to be on height, especially with going into a sand rotation like this. Everybody else, it looks like they're focusing on each other down low, but we have a team with 4 kills right now, 4 elims, 120 points with Hype and them down there, but now we're back up with Rapid. Now Rapid, they don't have a ton of points right now, so they're really hoping that they can get this victory out of this game. They need it. They need it big time, because we're going into that final zone too, and we're going to start getting those hefty placement points, as there's only 4 teams left. Now Icon and them have great guns, but it looks like one of their members has gone down. And so now it's just Rapid and Exxon, and they're still holding that height though as they take out Real Pro, and they still have a few other teams below them, but there's only 7 people left, and they've got to secure this high ground. They got to say this is theirs, and we've seen it already in games that even if you have high ground, that doesn't mean you win the game. That doesn't mean you are the best out there. But it looks like Rapid and them are dropping down to get those final kills as they get that victory royale. Guys, we know the song, #1 victory royale. Yeah, Fortnite, we're about to get down. They just took the battlefield for themselves, and they showed who the best were, and that was them. They wanted everyone to know that they had height, and they were going to rain down on everybody and get that victory royale.
Rapid, wow. A lot of action happening right there at the end. Rapid definitely boosting himself up in the leaderboard after that one. It was a beautiful play by them, holding on to the top. But we're going to take you over to the leaderboard now, where we are going to see the standings after that game. Still in first, commandingly, Kuki, Phantom, and Nyler holding on with 299 points. Following up is Modus, Serrano, and Kai, 241. Speedy Hype, 7-man, third. and then the drop-off happens between 3rd and 4th. We have Snow Retro and M7 still in that 4th spot. An even bigger drop happening from 5th to 6th. 30-point difference as we see our reboot round winners, Ali, Ferris, and Echo, in that 6th place spot, trying to push themselves even higher on the leaderboard. Moving down, Fahad, Mansour, Scully. And what a way to close out that game. A lot of action. And we're still seeing a dominating performance on that leaderboard by Kookie, Nyler, and Phantom. But we're going to send you to a short break. We are going to be right back with your coverage of FNCS Middle East.
What is up, Fortniters? We got me and Palm back for you guys, and we are ready to show you guys these last 2 games. Now, Palm, what do you think is going to happen? What are your predictions for these last 2 games? Do you think any new players that we haven't really seen much of today are all of a sudden going to move themselves up on the leaderboard, or do you think we're going to just see the same teams really dominate the rest of this?
Well, what it looks like the leaderboard right now, we have Kookie, Phantom, and Nirali just holding it up. Almost a 50-point lead by them. But you have to take into account, we've got 2 games left. They could die off spawn both these games, and these other teams could have their moment to shine, their moment to push forward. But right now, I'm going to stick with the safe choice. I'm going to stick with Kookie, Phantom, and Nyler. I think that they are going to hold on to this #1 spot. We constantly see them always going for that high ground, going for those exciting eliminations that I personally love to see. They have a very exciting way that they play the game. So I'm going to stick with the safe spot. I think we're going to stick with these top 4 teams that we've been holding on to.
Yeah, you know what? I really agree with you. I mean, already you're looking at Kookie and them. They're holding such a high spot above all other teams on the leaderboard. And they're kind of saying, like, you know, no one's coming for us. No one's going to be able to get to our level with how high up they are there. So I'm really excited to get into this next game, which we are doing right now. Let's go see who we got dropping. What teams are we looking at? It looks like we got a battle bus going over Dirty, where we have known that quite a few different teams have been landing there. Still, we got the 93 people on the board. We got everybody dropping. Are some people uncontested? Yes. Are some people contested? Of course. So we're going to see a little bit of action just from the start.
Yeah, as we see that Steamy, Stacks, and Dirty Docks area is always very heavily contested. See a lot of action already happen. We're going to move over to Kookie, Nyler, and Phantom immediately starting off next to Coliseum. getting that full shield with the slurp truck. It's like Nyler wasn't able to get over to it, probably because they're at a different location, moving over to Digger and his team. Esk Dark has already fallen for their team as they are just going to hold down Coral Castle. They've got people all around them on the edges looking down, moving over to the Shark. The Shark is one of the most underrated drop spots on this map. A lot of people don't realize it. You can leave Shark getting 100 shield as well as your 100 HP just by utilizing the slurp barrels that are there. Shark is one of my favorite places to drop during tournaments. You can just fill up your shield, and you may not get full from just inside the Shark, but right outside the Shark towards the tip of the nose, you can go ahead and pick up those other 2 slurp barrels. Shark also has a great little spread out loot system, perfect for duos, but these players, 3bood, MJ, and Took, are just going to control Shark down, getting the purple sniper. These snipers are always a factor in these games, and I just think Shark, overall underrated, gives you an opportunity to look down into those people in the Coral Castle area, possibly get the shots off like what 3bood is looking for right now.
Yeah, like you said, Shark is a great place to land, but you're looking at it being on the very outskirts of the map, so you're going to have a lot of people in between you as you're trying to rotate. Now, they're looking for a few tags as they can inside of Coral Castle, but they know that it might not be worth it to actually push down there unless they're able to hit a snipe, but they're still pretty far away. Now, we did see someone boxing up the reboot van out there. Is there a team that is actually getting a reboot down? We see that one person has been eliminated on the map, and that someone was just rebooted as I'm saying that. Now, I'm assuming that it was coming from that area. It might not be. Either way, we're seeing a still stacked game, full 31 teams still alive. Now, these guys are kind of, alphing the Shark area, making it their own. They're getting all the health they can there, but we're moving over to Misty, where it looks like we have an uncon team here too. We have Aziz, AZ, and Adapter. Now, as I say that, someone's putting shots from them right up above at the little college. We got Killer Boy up there. It looks like it might not be totally a contested drop, but there are people near, so you have to be careful if you're dropping here. Now, we see Hyper is getting some kills in some elims on the feed right here. He took off Hell on Steam and he said, no, you don't take this drop from us. So we're seeing a few people go down, but it's still a 92 player game right now, meaning we're going to see a hefty amount of Storm Surge hit here pretty soon. This is possibly the most stacked we've seen it since the beginning of today, but there is a great amount of stuff here in Misty for this team. You can get heals, you can get fish, and you can get them from the ice boxes. There's peppers, and you have someone to upgrade with, which can really help your game, which is what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, AZ is just really upgrading everything he has. We saw him earlier on getting those safes that are scattered across the map, filling up 100 gold each. They are going to have another team pushing over towards the other side of Misty Meadows, but it looks like that's just going to be 2 members of that team. So if there is an engagement going on, as is Adapter and Milex will be able to pick that up. They're just going to focus right now on collecting those materials. So we're going to move over towards our current first place team, Nyler, Phantom, and Kooky, moving towards the orchard where they are going to immediately run into another team. Moving over to the heavily contested Dirty Docks. Aziz looking for a snipe off, misses his shot, gets a little 20 tag, gonna immediately get tagged for a lot, gonna fall down to Unit. He's going to be eliminated in this second to last match. Real Pro on the low ground using his harpoon gun to do a lot of damage, breaking down builds. He's gonna have players all around him, but that is going to be the end of that team in Dirty Docks as Unit is able to clean it up. Gonna drop down, gonna decide to res QN first as he's very low, but that is going to be a great job by Unit just finishing off that fight, cleaning up that kills in, clean up those eliminations in that 1v2 scenario.
Yeah, Unit went into absolute clutch mode right there as it was him versus two other people while his other teammates were down. But he didn't even have to worry about getting them back up in the reboot van as he was able to elim the other two players in time to revive his teammates. Now we're getting over here to the Stealthy Stronghold, an area that a lot of people don't talk about, but it is a very, very good place to drop as you can get a ton of loot there. And we do know that the Predator makes his ways through the Stealthy Stronghold, and if you are able to elim him, you get 2 slurp fish, which is huge to have, especially for an end game. Those slurp fish, as we know, they give you the shield and they give you health, and those are things that, you know, can be very big in those end games. And especially having the Flopper Island right next to you, you're able to just get a ton of fishing done, and having those fish for an end game, like we said, is huge, especially with how many heal offs we see right now. So Spy, Ixon, and Rapid are going to be kind of taking the spot over right now. It looks like they already got their loot from Stealthy, and now they're moving around to the Flopper Island, and then they only have a small little haul that they have to make to get back into circles. So either way, they're in a great spot. Now they're looking all the way over at Craggy for a few shots with their sniper, knowing that they might not actually get into a fight over there, but if they can get a shot or two, it will put them up on Storm Surge. But now we're over with a actual box fight going on, a little bit of some builds being thrown up as there is a trio and a duo going for each other, but it looks like one person has been elim'd, so now it's a 3v2. So this is going to be a tough spot for Bricks and Linjay because Dom has been taken out of the game. So now they got to really focus up in this box fight and either find a way to disengage or at least get another player down so it can be a 2v2 situation, because you do not want to be stuck in those 2v3 situations, because obviously having that one less player puts you at a big disadvantage.
Yeah, it looks like Linjay does have most of the builds in that area, does have the piece control down. Bricks is going to take a step back, pop a big pot, as this other team is just going to back away temporarily as they see MK and his trio pushing forward. Looks like we're going to have 3 teams in this very congested area, but it is just going to be crazy to watch this unfold. Everybody is in zone. These are essentially unnecessary fights taking place. Sure, those elimination points are great, but your main end goal should be that end game where you can rack up elimination points, rack up those placement points, and there's still 30 trios left in this lobby. So we are going to see that placement coming down to the end once more, as Linjay and Bricks are just holding on to this location. They were able to have the other team back away, and so they were able to disengage correctly and able to stay safe, and they're just going to push forward and try and go back from that. Linjay just accidentally firing off a sniper shot. We are moving into zone, though, where there is a build fight going on. S-Dark, RSTN, and Metal all holding back here. Looks like we have 3 different trios all locating zone. We'll be fighting in zone. This one team is just going to completely back up. Swise is going to completely get absolutely beamed. So snipe comes out. Metal is also going to fall. It's a scary storm fight for these teams to be taking. And Says is just pushing forward. He's going to get beamed from both sides. He's not enjoying this. His teammate Metal does end up falling. It's just him and M2BK now, as everybody has their eyes on them, ready to go forward. As Safe is going to fall. It's all down to M2BK. No heals to his name. He has to do a lot of stuff here, looking for any siphon. Able to get the kill onto Digger. Doesn't look like that was his 100% elimination, though, so he does not get the siphon. Just gonna look for anything he can. He is still being tagged by zone. He has 30 seconds to get in, or else he is going to fall zone. It's gonna be him and RSTN remaining in the zone. So M2BK is looking for something. He has 18 seconds. He is going to get eliminated by RSTN. RSTN cutting it close, as well as his teammate, who have to get in as far as because zone is still tagging them up.
Yeah, you know, these storm fights are positions you really don't want to find yourself in, but Unfortunately or fortunately, we have seen with this season the add of performance mode. Now, a lot of, if you guys out there don't know what performance mode is, performance mode is a new way to play Fortnite where it kind of dumbs down the graphics a little bit to give you that higher FPS boost. And one thing that it does do is it takes a little bit of the coloring out of the game. So when you're stuck in zone, you can see more when you're on performance mode, which has given some players a big advantage if they're able to see into zone and look for people to shoot, or if they're stuck in a storm fight, they're able to see a lot better than possibly the player they're fighting against. Now, we're going to be going over to Falcon, Nyler, and Kuki. These guys are kind of hiding in the corn right now. These are our first place contestants right now. They've got a lot to play with. They have, you know, all the mats they need. They have the bouncers. They have the health, but they do not have the Storm Surge. And still with 10 people live before that Storm Surge goes away, they're going to want to make some kind of push right here. They're going to want to make something happen. Now they're kind of just chilling in the storm. Not chilling in the storm, chilling in the corn. But they got to be careful because people know they're there now. So now they got to actually use some of their builds. They got to get their heals on it, and they got to look for some tags because they're at 57 below. Not a position you want to be in, especially for later on in the game. But we do see the sniper coming out, and the sniper can get that quick tag that puts you right above. Now they're down to 1.5. We have Izai, Reed, and Snow who are kind of on hide on them, and they're going to be looking down to range shots on them too. Is this the time where we don't end up seeing Falcon and them in the end game, or are they going to be able to find a way out of this? We'll see what happens here, but unfortunately right now the position they're in is not looking the best for them, especially with how far below they are of Storm Surge. And we even saw a person get revived with the reboot van, so it looks like we're all the way back from 80 to 81, so that it makes it even harder for teams to get their tags because they need it to happen now, because we're about to see Storm Surge become effective in less than 50 seconds. So right now we have Nyler. He's kind of looking through his cone, kind of wait to make a play, but they're going to go for a push right now. They're going to be pushing onto height, taking over. Unfortunately, though, Phantom was hit heavy right when he got up there, so he got a quick tag on him, and they got to be careful now. They got to still box up. It's going to be hard for them to just hold height like that, especially with other teams focusing them. With so many people left right now, too, and they seeing a big fight like this going down, it's so easy for other teams to just hit that snipe on a player fighting another team. And, you know, that can be so unfortunate when you think you're in the best position possible and you're about to take out a team, and all of a sudden you get sniped and you have to step back and you have to get back and heal, and that gives the other team a chance to heal too.
Yeah, as we see Nyler and his team really stepping back, they are still below that Storm Surge threshold, 123 below. They're looking for anything that can, as Storm Surge has now activated. This is one of the most stacked games that we have had today. Still 29 trios out of the 31 in the lobby still remaining, as they are trying to find anything they can below. They are still getting tagged heavily by that Storm Surge. Only 17 below. 3 players have to fall before Storm Surge will go away. They are in a tough situation right now. Several teams all on that one area, all closing in. It looks like they are going to still be below Surge. They are just popping all the shields that they have, trying to stay above so they just don't go below. These players are still surrounding this one area. Nyler just is trying to find anything he can. He does have the most HP out of all of his teammates, but that is going to be it. Storm Surge is going to be done and over with, as 69 players now remain. So we're going to take a step back, and they're going to take a sigh of relief as they have just avoided certain death with using all of their shield to get out of that situation. Moving over top towards the bridge now, we see Fairs, Lo-Fi, and Meza pushing forward. They decide to not push the team down below, Scully, Mansour, and Fahad. They're going to push over top and keep pushing up, just rotating into this zone, setting themselves up for success moving into this end game. Scully has an opportunity to take off, to use a big pot, but he is not looking too good on shotgun ammo. Only 8 shots remain to use for his charge shotgun. 45 builds as well. This team on the low ground of Scully, Mansour, and Fahad really has to put a lot into these upcoming fights, which they may engage in right now. They're going to opt out of it. This team is directly above them. AR shots do come out. Scully able to get some tags with this AR. Not able to find a lot. They're putting a lot of resources into pushing into this zone. They're just gonna barely get in. So many teams on this outer edge. Still teams fighting in the stands. It's gonna be so hard for them to get in. But Scully and his team are just pushing forward, trying to get anything they can. As the team's on the low ground, heavy tags coming out. Scully and Mansoor and Fahad are looking for these eliminations, wanting to get their elimination points up even more. 73 points on day 2 for them, looking for anything they can get. That team had an opportunity to step back, to heal up a little bit, but Scully and Fahad, Mansoor are still putting on all this pressure. Team's gonna run past, they're gonna get a light tag off. Not gonna be able to find much. This team's still holding onto the high ground very low, as they are not rotated all the way in. This team on the back is still holding them back. That's Lo-Fi, Fairs, and Meza looking for an opportunity to take these players down. And they are just going to disengage from that fight. Scully's waiting here with his charged shotgun ready to get anything off. But we're going to see sort of a lull right now as all these teams on the edge are going to take a second and take a breath. We do see Echo and Ali still are reboot round winners, still in this one, moving forward as a lot of teams on this outer edge. You're going to have to use a lot of resources to push forward. Moving over to 7-man now. 7-man and his team looking great on heals. A Slurpfish, 2 floppers, and some minis. They are setting themselves up for perfect success and are able to have an opportunity to look back into the zone for tags.
Yeah, you know, they're in an interesting position right now. They got a lot of good loot here, and they've got their build set up, and they're finding themselves in circles. So this is a good position for them to really just look for some shots to place on other people and get those tags, especially when Storm Surge will be active here pretty soon, as we're about to actually see a warning in less than 10 seconds. Now, Speedy, Hive, and 7-man are a phenomenal team. We already know that, but we're going to get over and see, you know, exactly how they're able to play the rest of this end game, especially with being on a lower position right here. They're kind of right next to the little hill, but they're not on top of it. So they're going to have to focus on a good end game playing for low ground right now, but unfortunately they are extremely low on Storm Surge. 344 below. They're gonna need to get some heavy hits before they can get back up. They might even need to see themselves get some elims. Now it looks like they're going into a box fight now, but unfortunately Speedy was hit pretty heavy here. He needs a second heal up. Now luckily they have those fish, so he's going to be able to get himself back up to full health, but they have so many points right now that even if they were not able to secure this end game, they're still going to be in a decent position to stay on the leaderboards. But still, they want that end game though. They want to be up high as possible on those leaderboards. So they're going to go for these elims. They're going to go right. You know, we see Loser right next to him, and they're very close to getting him down, and they got 2v1 in that position, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for him. Now it looks like Speedy was able to get a hefty hit on Loser, but got taken out a little bit too, and has very little health back. Little health with him, but we see that whoever's on height has very, very little health. So this might be their opportunity to push up, but they also have to focus on rotates. As we see, the circle is now pulling for half and half, and it is pulling in the opposite direction for them. So they've got to get moving soon, but they are 113 below, and Storm Surge is now officially active. We're going to start seeing that raining around others, and that is not a position you want to be in. You do not want to be getting hit with that Storm Surge, because that is just that little extra stress, as you know you're losing health while you're also trying to put shots on other people. But we have dropped down below. We still have 18 teams left. We haven't hit those placement points yet, so people are now gonna start seeing some placement here pretty soon as we get to 17 teams left, but still not right away. Now 7-man, he is not doing the best on ammo, unfortunately. He got it in his attack, but he does not have it for his scar. Now we see Kings the Atwood. They are looking like they're making a strong play for height right in here. Are they gonna be able to get it, or are they gonna be taken down? It looks like they weren't able to fully get it. They're going to move themselves forward, then trying to get into half and half. They need to find a spot to post up, because this end game is close, and it is going to be a vile one. It is going to be a big end game for them. They're at 97 points. You know, this is a little mid position for those leaderboards. They're kind of in that top 10 area, top 15, and they're close to pushing them into those heavy top 5s. As we see, the top teams are only around 130 to 140 points. So really, if they can just have a great end game here, if they can just have a big point end game, they could see themselves really high up on the leaderboard.
Yeah, we see Sudor just holding down that position. We're going to go to a wide view of everybody right here. Placement points have just started kicking in for everybody. The bouncers are coming out. Kings, he's sitting right here with his team, getting themselves set. They have quite a lot of metal waiting in that box as the zone is going to pull very far away from them. We're going to see a lot of teams be eliminated on this rotate as Digger's able to find 2 in the kill feed. Kings goes for a no-scope, unable to connect. It's been a crazy shot. He's going to have an opportunity to reload his sniper as his players are directly below him and his trio. And they are just absolutely amazing on Storm Surge at the moment. 839 above Storm Surge. They just need to focus on rotating in and waiting. Pseudo Baylor has already gotten eliminations for his team, as well as Diatwood. They're going to focus on rotating into this zone. Got to use a lot of resources to do it. Looking for shots down below. Rocket Art Launcher does come out. That's going to be difficult for them. Kings does get separated, able to come back up to his team, drops his medal so that his teammate can use it to tarp forward for them. We have 15 teams remaining as elimination does come out. Diatwood is knocked down. They're trying to pull him forward, and Kings is going to hold that player inside of the zone. He has to go up, and Kings, they have an opportunity here to res Diatwood, but looks like he's not going to find the time to. The zone pulled too much forward. We see Falcon Kirito-kun on the high ground, though, setting himself up. Kings pushing forward, does get tagged heavily from behind, has to be careful. Player comes to his box, Stone is going to be eliminated. Kings was very low, and Kings able to get that elimination. Beautiful shot by Kings. They're going to be pushing forward. Kings the last person alive for his team. He has 2 eliminations on the board. Already had a great game for his trio. He's looking to find even more placement as we have 9 teams remaining. 15 players left alive. Kings is getting knocked down. Has to be careful of his zone. Unable to get up. He is going to be eliminated from below, though. So we see Soriano on the high ground, holding it down. That is our second place team on the high ground. RV, NM7, and Snowy Tro holding down ultimate low ground. But Modiste, Serrano, and Kai, our second place team, holding on to the high ground. Modiste is going to keep up the high ground while Kai and Serrano are going down, looking for any eliminations they can find as the zone starts closing even more. We're moving into our 9th and final zone. Modiste able to get a beautiful shot with the RPG. Gonna get 2 eliminations off that. Serrano with 2, Kai with 1, Modiste with 5 eliminations in this game. As they are gonna keep holding on to this high ground. They have such an opportunity here. Nobody else is close. Modiste still raining fire with that rocket launcher. There's gonna be 8 players remaining, 3 teams left in this game. Everybody looking for that ever so elegant victory royale. Big RPG shot as Modiste is still doing so much damage back there. Serrano, Kai, and Modiste are holding on to this. 2 teams left remaining. It is a 3v2, and that is going to be it for Modiste, Serrano, and Kai. They are going to pick up the victory royale with 11 eliminations on this second to last game. That is the boost that they needed to put themselves up on the leaderboard and start contesting with Kuki and Phantom and Nyler. What an amazing end game, Bryson.
Yeah, you know what? That was incredible. But what really stood out to me was Baylor, Diatwood, and King's team. And we saw Kings as he kind of took the play for himself there after Diatwood and Baylor went down. And he got almost 10 to 12 extra points there, which is absolutely marvelous. It's just huge, a huge play for him to be able to frag out a little bit end game. We saw that with such little health, and as someone kind of hopped in his box, he quickly flicked on them and hit that shotgun shot that he needed to get that quick elim. And I think ultimately that game right there is probably gonna move them up so much higher than they were on the leaderboard. but we still see the second place team that just moved themselves up even higher. I don't think they're going to be high enough to contest with first place, but they're getting there. They're getting closer. They're creeping up on them. They're saying, this is going to be our tournament. You just wait. So I'm really excited to get into this and see what the leaderboard is and see, you know, what these people are doing and what teams are moving themselves upwards. So right now we're still looking at Nyler, Phantom, and Kuki in first, but only 7 points behind them, Sereno, Modest, and Kai. Like I said, they're making their creep upwards. This is gonna be a close tournament. I'm really excited for this last game. What do you think, Palm?
This is going to be such an amazing game. So we see a 4-point difference, a 6-point difference in between first and second place. After that, the points drop off, and it is going to be so close for these teams. These are amazing games that are being brought to you as we move down even lower. But this is such a good tournament. I'm so glad we had the opportunity to bring FNCS Middle East. We are so ready to bring you into this final match. I am so excited. Like I said, only 6 points between this first and second place, and they have one more game to prove it all, to take home that first place FNCS champion and the $30,000. I mean, $30,000 is pretty cool, but the FNCS champion, I don't know, man. Having to choose between those two.
Yeah, I mean, that is just a big name to be able to have. And, you know, they even get that pickaxe that they get to share until the next FNCS that they're able to run around the battlefield on and show, hey, we're the FNCS Middle East champions. And that's something I'm super excited to see what happens, especially with such a close leaderboard right now. You know, this isn't going to be... And so, guys, we are going to be actually going into break, I just found out. So we'll be back in just a few minutes with the final game coverage for FNCS Middle East.
Hey everybody, and welcome back to your coverage of FNCS Middle East. We are just about to kick it off into our final game of the night. My name is Palm, joined by Bryson right here, and we are so ready to bring you this next game.
Yeah, Palm, I'm super excited, especially like we said before, the top two teams are so close. So it's really going to be about, what can these two teams do? Or are we going to see third or fourth place all of a sudden rise up this end game and have a 50-60 point game here and get a ton of elims, get those placement points? So many different things could happen right here that we just absolutely have no idea. It's so hard to just call the shots and say what's going to happen. So I'm so excited to see what everybody does.
Yeah, this is going to be absolutely insane for these two teams on top, as right now, they're the ones in the lobby. They have targets on their back. Those are the high priority targets, where if there's a bounty picked up, it is said, oh, that's Phantom, oh, that's Nyler. They are probably gonna push that forward, as these lower teams are just looking for any points they can get to boost themselves up in the leaderboard, take home a little more cash for the day. But I am going to stick with that. I'm riding the train of Kookie, Phantom, and Nyler. I think that they are going to push forward in this next game. There's gonna be a lot of factors coming in, but that is my prediction for this final game of the Middle Eastern FNCS.
Yeah, and you know what? You're exactly right. Phantom, Nyler, and Kookie, they've got a big playing field ahead of them. But let's look at Sereno and Kai, though. I'm really excited to see what they do. They were already showed themselves. They've showed their gameplay and their skill. But we're going to get into this last game, guys, and we're going to see who's dropping off the battle bus right now and who's ready to play the final FNCS Middle East game. So right now we're looking at looks like everybody is pretty much almost to their drops like we have in normality. Dirty Docks is contested with two teams. We still have teams over by Steamy. We have one at Steamy and a few on the outside. We got the whole Coliseum area to Risky Uncon with just one team, and we have Misty Meadows. It looks like they have a few people also all the way over to Holly, who has a few teams. If you're stuck with those POIs with multiple teams, that could either be great for you or that could be a big loss. So right now we're already pushing over to Dirty, which we know is one of the higher trafficked areas around here. But we're looking at QN, NJ, and Unit. They're kind of, finding their loot. They haven't looked for a fight yet, but they don't have a lot of health, so they don't want to get tagged. Especially if QN gets tagged here and he hasn't taken any of his shield yet, then he might get pushed pretty heavily if they know that he has no shield on him. So this is going to be an interesting position for him. They're trying to get all their metal. Dirty Docks is a elite place for metal, considering half the place is made of metal, and you can actually get some really good stuff here. Especially they have the Brutus POI, who can give you shotguns, scars for only 95 gold, and we're seeing with these in-game currency that's been added to the season, that is such a huge part of the game. Really curious to see if that comes into chapter 6 or season 6, or if we're going to see something completely different. But otherwise, right now, though, that is what players are looking for. They need that extra gold so they can get those better guns. Now, QN is in a little bit of a shambles position. He didn't have a shotgun here, but we're moving all the way over to the Coliseum, where we got Phantom, Nyler, and Kookie, our number one placed teams right now. They've got this whole area to themselves. They're kind of just running around. Now, like we said before, Coliseum isn't the best spot to get in a fight in, but if you're uncontested, then you've got a lot of stuff to play around with right now.
Coliseum, like I've said, I've expressed my feelings about Coliseum. There's not a lot of cover you can do. There's a lot of natural cover, can't build a lot, but when you get it uncontested, there is so much loot that spawns in this very small area, so many twists and turns. Later on in the season, they have added the fact that there are underground areas where the quote-unquote IO facilities are, has been teased by Fortnite. So there's all these different underground areas over towards this Coliseum area that you can just farm up everything and get so much loot from that. So Kookie, Phantom, and Nyler are going to be in an amazing position, having it completely uncontested. If they want, they could get that purple AK from challenging the Gladiator that resides there. Over to Craggy Cliffs, though. Hype, Speedy, and 7 Man constantly getting this place almost uncontested. Looks like we may have another team on the hills around, though. So we're moving back over to Dirty where the fight's happening. QN does able to get a kill onto HWR, and he is going to take the L. That is a full trio right onto Real Pro and RX. The dance comes out, the bad manner. That is going to be the end of that team's FNCS. As this team over towards Craggy, Hype, Speedy, and 7-Man still show that they're owning Craggy. They have everything they need to set themselves straight up for success here. Excuse me, earlier I said that maybe Con. Those are just the NPCs. NPCs are now showing themselves on the map. Confused me up a little bit. But they are just going to own this Craggy area. Hype looking to find an upgrade for his shotgun. Maybe find a harpoon gun to use towards that end game. But we see slower play happening here. We already see a lot more teams just going off. There are only 28 teams remaining with 83 players left in this lobby. In the kill feed, we see Kuki, though, the first place team, getting some eliminations along with Phantom. So they are going to be picking up some eliminations for themselves, pushing their lead even more. But 7-Man Hype and Speedy just chilling in Craggy Cliffs, just setting themselves up. Like I've said, you can use Craggy Cliffs to set yourselves up for an end game just by dropping there.
Yeah, like we said before, Craggy is a stacked place for fish, for heals, for just everything in general. But we're moving all the way over to Nyler, Kuki, and Phantom. Looks like they just got out of a fight, which is big for the #1 team to already get 3 elims. We're already looking at a game that looks like it's going down a little bit faster. Most of these games have, when this storm has started closing, there's still been around 90 people left, but we're looking at 80. So a lot of teams are trying to secure their spots. They're taking some of these fights very seriously. Now, Kuki, Nyler, and Phantom have been able to move themselves into Orchard and have it all by themselves now, where they can upgrade some more guns, get some more gold, get that currency, and for the moment now, with 3 kills, they're in a great spot. So now they're just kind of in this Tomato Town area, just kind of moving around. They have all these builds that they can kind of go back to, play around in, especially if another team decides to push. But other than that, they are just flawless, great positioning, and they got a big end game ahead of them. So I'm excited to see exactly where they go and exactly what they do. But another big team to be looking at, Kings, Atwood, and Baylor. This is the team where Kings popped off last game and got them almost 10 to 12 extra points. But there looks like they're going to get a snipe put on them. Another team looking for tags. Hopefully this doesn't get them into a fight, though, because they want this end game. They could really come back and get that 3rd or 4th positioning on the leaderboard. And as we've seen before, they are good. They are good. They have some impressive gameplay. They can make this happen. But another big fight over here. We're looking at 3. Mori has already gone down while the rest of his team is trying to do something here. But now Bleed is down and Blaze is extremely low. So this is going to be a really tough play for them, considering it's only 1v3 here. Once he goes down, then that is the rest of their FNCS too. And unfortunately, he is just done right there. Now, Blade is stuck in the middle of all of them, and he goes down, ending his FNCS for Chapter 5. Now we got Kietro, FHD, and Yonks. They are in a great position. They have a lot of loot, and they're mid-circle in the sand right now. They've got the 0-point crystals. They can really just go wherever they want. But curious, they might be running into our first place winners here soon. First place on the leaderboard, and that could be a big fight that I'm excited to see. Now we have people up here on the Zate Hill. Then we have Snow, we have NM7, and we have RV. Looks like they have very good loot. They have a lot of ammo. Look at that, 300 AR ammo, and they've got heals. So really, they're probably just going to be taking the spot for themselves. If they can keep pulling zone 2, then they're going to have hide on everybody, and that is the place you want to be.
Yeah, and we see Snow just really using a strategy that a lot of people have started using over these last few seasons. They'll build their box out of their already established materials, drop a ton of their mats back in that box, and then just rush back and start refarming everything. Snow's going to take some couple snipes off, looking for somebody to hit all the way down at the gas station area. His team's kind of separated from him right now. They have this entire area to themselves. They can just loot up this area. The team at gas station's holding him back. We move over to Niler, Phantom, and Kookie sitting at Tomato Town. These are your players in first place. They already have a few eliminations to their name. We're going to move over towards the woods area where Ali, Echo, and Ferris have found themselves. They are coming hot off their reboot round win. They are putting themselves right around, I believe last we checked, they're in 7th place on the leaderboard. They're trying to push themselves up to get even higher on this overall leaderboard. So it's going to have this woods area completely uncontested. You can just push forward, harvest all the materials that they want. And there's some teams scattered around them, but nobody has the focus on this team who's just lurking in Weeping Woods.
Yeah, that is an interesting spot to get them, and I'm excited to see more of them this game, especially with being the reboot round winners and seeing how they're showing their gameplay. They're showing that, you know, they have a place in FNCS, and they want people to know that. So I'm really excited to see how they play the rest of the game and if they get up a little bit more. But we have another team that's a little bit behind them, but not too far. Corito, FHD, and Yonks, which looks like they're in a little bit of a fight here. But Corito is going to get a snipe on the outside teams looking at him saying, hey, don't mess with us. Let us take this fight on our own, because that's the bad thing right now is those third parties. But Corito Kun, he put the action in. He said, you know what? No, you're not coming for us. But now that it looks like they're going to kind of disengage a little bit. They got those crystals if they need to get out of there, but still, Corito is kind of staying on the outside. He's putting those hefty shots on people. He's showing that he knows how to use the sniper. But now they're going to make their way towards this other team that looks like one of them is down, so they know they might be able to get a quick push on them. But with the revive happening and one of his own members going down, that might not be the best spot to be in. They need to focus on getting them up and then play for the rest of this end game. But we do see a lot of teams going down fast here. It looks like this game is having a little bit more of a key strategy to it instead of being played as much as safely for placement as we've seen before. There's a lot more mid-game fights going on right now. Now you have Liquid, Gentle, and Saud. Looks like they're trying to disengage. Even though they have height, they don't want to get stuck in a position where they can get easily third party, because you have Casper on the outside looking like he was putting some shots in him. But the bad thing is that Flares and Lo-Fi, they don't want him to go away. They want that fight, and that can put them in a really bad position. Dom just getting revived as they were holding it for him. They got the heal off. Now he's got to get some health on him. Well, it looks like Linji is going to be trying to hold those builds together. Now we're back with Fares, Lo-Fi, and Meza. They're still going for Liquid and Gentle. But we do have another team coming out. We have Casper, Nafe, and C2 Crazy trying to come in and possibly going to third party this fight. So Lo-Fi and them, they want to get their action done fast, and they want to get out of there so they don't end up being elim right after they get the eliminations in this fight right here.
Yeah, Lo-Fi is pushing forward, has that charge shotgun. No AR ammo to use, and Meza is going to pick up an elimination onto Sudar Saad. So that's going to give Lo-Fi an opportunity to take a step back, heal up. Like you said, Bryson, this game has a lot more W keying, and we would normally see all these teams that are in the middle of the pack just trying to push forward and just get as many eliminations as they can pick up. See, Lo-Fi, Fares, and Meza pushing forward as they want to get in here. Fares does get sniped. So they're trying to push into this diner area. Potential is very low as Meza's able to get the elimination. That's going to be a full trio wipe as Gentle and Liquid go down, ending their FNCS. Meza, Fares, and Skies are just going to pick up those eliminations and step forward. Now we're moving over towards the Dusty Depot, as we remember it, still just remembering it on this new map. We see Nave, his team on top, moving over to Exxon now. Exxon looking for some tags in AR. We are not going to see first zone surge coming up. Lot of movement happening from all these teams. They are pushing forward, looking for any of these elimination points that they can find. So Exxon's going to drop himself down into this outer hut area, just trying to take any advantage of natural cover he has. Spy and repeat. are his teammates and not full shield by either one. They're going to pop those chug splashes and get each one of them a little higher. Exxon keeps on peeking out of his cone. He's trying to look and find any opportunity he can have. He has 500 AR shots that he can dish out this match. Do anything he can. He sees a team rotating in. It's going to be Rari. They're going to snipe back, but Exxon still able to get some tags out. So that everybody here needs to rotate into this zone. Is already not in. Exxon is probably going to get held here. As we see our sand rotators, Q, N, J, B, Y, and Unit pushing forward, getting the easy rotation. Not a lot of people looking at the sand right now. These guys can focus on getting as deep in rotation as they can get. Tarps coming out. The shots are coming towards them, but they're able to build up, able to block everything, still sitting at perfect HP and shields for all of them, sitting around this edge of zone as we are in our third zone. 62 players remaining and 21 teams left to go. And this is, as a reminder, this is the final game of FNCS Middle East. In very close first and second place. Other teams trying to prove themselves and rise to the top. We're going to see a lot of stuff. Kings getting elimination. It's so close once you hit that middle of the pack that this is going to bring down for an exciting endgame.
Wow, yeah, and you're looking at a team like that, QN, Unit, and NJ, they're pretty low on points right now, looking at that 51 points. They want to kind of be in the 100 area to secure those high placements and get that high prize pool money, but that doesn't mean they can't do it. A 50-point game is possible. It is very possible. Right now we have Exxon in them. They're kind of looking around on height, but they're not really peaking. You don't really want to peak on height until later on in game, especially in those rotating zones, those moving zones, because if you do it now, you could get sniped like that, and there goes your height. There goes your game, and you do not want that to happen. You have to use heals. You have a chance of people pushing you. Multiple people might spray you. People want that height. People are going to play for that height, and you want to make sure that nobody else plays for that height. So we got Bricks, Dom, and Lynn. They're kind of in a decent spot right now. They have everything they need, but it's really going to matter where the zone pulls here for them. And it actually pulls right by them, so they're in a really good spot too. Don't really got to do much. They're going to be able to use this time to look for tags. They got to look for some quick tags. Now, we're going to see Storm Surge, the warning, pop up here pretty soon in about a minute if it stays above 50. But I don't think we're going to end up seeing Storm Surge hit. Now, I may be wrong, but it's looking as a game that's going to go faster, and we're not going to really see much of an issue with it. So most of these teams are really just going to be playing for placement. But if that's the case, then Storm Surge could make its way through. Now, we're looking at Rapid, Exxon, and Spy again. Like I said, they're holding that height. They're barely peeking, but they're looking here and there for a quick snipe, and that is about it. You don't want to just hold up there and hold with your sniper and just sit there, because that's how you're going to get dinked to the head. But now they're kind of finding these little areas to where they can look for others. But that's exactly what I said right there, guys. Peeking like that puts that quick shot on somebody. Now, I think the team that killed them, that put the elim on Spy, or the almost elim, is one that's not going to push. They're kind of finding their way outwards. They don't really want to take that chance of pushing and then getting focused by everybody else. But that puts them in a scuff position. Now Spy has to use quite a bit of heals to get himself back to a better spot, and that is not what you want to have happen, especially in an endgame like this. You want to be able to have all your heals till the very end, and they are the most vital.
Yeah, we're gonna have another sand end game. Seems to be the trend here, as we see MK, M Shari, and FKS sitting just inside zone. They have an opportunity to look off. They see P5 and Rari and Essence Som over. They're going to start AR focusing them. They're going to have a hard time pushing forward, as they are having the lobby focused on them. Ray does get eliminated all the way in the zone. So you see Kirito also getting elimination in the feed, as P5 is going to fall. That is going to be the end of their FNCS. Storm Surge is around, but only 6 players must be eliminated for it to go away. This is perspective right now. Echo, Ali, and Ferris, the reboot round winners, looking to push themselves even higher on this leaderboard, trying to break in, looking for more elimination points to build themselves up. Echo is going to get tagged from the side, though. They have to back up. The entire trio decides we are going to disengage from that fight. They've got 3 different teams all in that one congested area. So they're going to back off. They're going to take a second. They're going to regroup, and they're going to put themselves back together. Echo looks like he's going to go for the sand rotate. So the sand is very viable. And looking at the map, they're going to be able to take the sand all the way. Echo is getting shot at, but he is able to avoid everything. He is pushing forward using this sand. Ali jumps out of the sand, is going to be separated from the rest of their team, but Echo, Ali, and Ferris are able to get in and build up, base up, and they are ahead of everybody else. Everybody else struggling to push forward on this rotation. We see Modise, Serrano, and Kai, the second place team, based up right near Echo, Ferris, and Bluff. Everybody else just continuing to base up in this one small congested area. Everybody really taking advantage of the sand and pushing forward. The second place team now 1 elimination to their name as they're looking forward for any eliminations more they can find. Only a 9-point difference, 6-point difference between these two teams before this match took place. And so they are hungry, looking to win this FNCS.
Yeah, exactly what you said, but Sour gets that hefty hit taken to him, and he does not want to go down because they really need this endgame. They really need to secure their spot and maybe be able to come out in first on the placement. So it looks like he was able to get a few heals off, and we have one of them over there. It looks like Kai is over there trying to hold the ground, making sure they give Sour a chance to heal. Now, that kind of put them in a tough position now that they have to use those heals, and they weren't able to get those demons or even just get those heavy hits off those other people. But it looks like they're still going to have to watch their backs as we're seeing the 5th zone almost close. Now they do have some crystals around them that this could be huge. Using those 0-point crystals, you can really get some good rotates here, but you also have to be careful, especially with 6th, 7th zone rotates with those. It's very easy to get yourself stuck because sometimes you just teleport into somebody's box when they're rotating, and you can see a endgame really mess you up right there. Now, Sour and Kai and Modix, though, are still holding their ground, and it looks like they're pulling zone their way. So what they're going to do right here is they're going to just kind of move themselves a little bit forward. They don't have too much they got to do until the zone starts pulling. Now they got a few teams ahead of them. It looks like they're going to hit that sand, and they're going to go uphill. Now, it just really factors in how long are they going to be able to play in the sand before they have to jump out. Looks like they have to jump out right now, but they are barely above on damage threshold, something that could come and creep up on them and kind of mess them up here coming up. But we have Adapter and them holding height though right now, and a team that we haven't seen as much of today because they are a little bit lower in points, but now they're trying to take this last game and they're trying to put themselves in that top 10 on the leaderboards, which is something they could definitely do if they really play this right, if they play their cards right and they hold this height for this end game. And that will ultimately put them in a great spot on the leaderboard. So right now they're pulling zone back and forth, and they have their heals and they're just looking for shots, but it looks like they might be sort of low on AR, which is not something you want to see, especially being on height.
Yeah, we see Adapter only 22 AR shots to his name. Miralai is still getting eliminations in the feed, so our first place team is still alive. Kai is going to fall in the elimination feed, but Adapter has to focus on getting his med up, having to mini up as we're moving. Falcon, FHD pushing forward into zone. HBD and Adapter pushing forward onto the high ground. Diatwood, Baylor, and Kings, though, one of the teams that we saw amazing feats by Kings earlier on in today's matches, trying to push forward. 124 points in day number 2. They're trying to get ahead of everybody else who's holding onto this low ground. Diatwood's going to be edited towards another team. He's going to have to pull back. Going to get shot from the back. Kirito-kun able to pick up some eliminations. It's going to be Kings left to solo clutch. He has to move forward. 47 builds, no white heals. He is going to get trapped in zone as zone is ticking away. He is going to be 10 HP. He has to be careful about pushing forward here. He has to push into an entire new team. 41 builds. He has to push forward. 10 HP to his name. He cannot take a single hit of storm damage. He has to look for any white meds or siphon he can get. 11 builds, now down to 5 builds. He is stuck where he is. As the team on height is our second place team. He is going to get eliminated to the zone. Kings falls. Loser and Metab are going to push forward, getting the elimination onto Brood. Excuse me, Boot. They're pushing forward even more. Snoka also falling. A lot of people's FNCS ending here. Raid pushing forward. He is very low. Going to get shot is Nyler Rai is going to be knocked down on the high ground. We have Sour and the other team. Nyler does get eliminated. It's all down to Phantom and Cookie here to hold on to their FNCS. Gets the elimination onto FHD. Phantom and Cookie have to push forward if they would like to win this FNCS, as the second place team is still holding on to the high ground. Phantom does a side jump, moving back around, moving back into zone. Him and Cookie are back together now. They have 10 elimination points on this final game. This is going to come right down to the wire. It's the second place team still holding on to the high ground. Bouncer play comes up. Modis, Tower and I are immediately on the low ground. Phantom 41 tag. Cookie's gonna fall, and that is going to be it for Cookie and Phantom. They are going to be eliminated by Serrano and the rest. Serrano and Modis are holding on to this high ground. Unit has 5 floppers on the low ground. He is going to play this heal game as the second place team is on height. Modis gonna fall though. NJBY, as the heal plays start coming out. Joe's is going to get eliminated by Unit. It's coming down to the wire. We have 5 players remaining. NJ is going to fall. Unit getting hard tack shots out. Takes down Casper. He has 1 flopper left. He has to look for anybody. He is going to win the game. Wow. Soriano, the second place team, is going to fall. Just barely missing first place. And Unit is going to take the final victory for his team in our final match of FNCS Middle East. This is going to come down to the wire, Bryson. We are going to take a second. We're standing by for the leaderboard. This is going to be so close, as we saw Phantom, Cookie, and Nyler Rai had 10 eliminations pushing forward. I believe they placed 4th that game. This is all coming down to the final seconds here.
Yeah, you know what? That was a crazy end game, and I'm just so curious to see what happens, especially since they held it out a little bit longer than Phantom's team. Was that enough? Was that what they needed? Or did Phantom still have a good enough gain to keep the first? But even with that, the teams that we saw that were just there at the end, we saw some people that we haven't really seen today that getting themselves higher up on the leaderboard, and that's going to be absolutely huge. So let's get a look at these standings, because I am just excited to see what's happening here. And it looks like Phantom by 10 points. Nyler, Phantom, and Cookie were able to secure that rank 1. They are your FNCS Grand Finals Middle East winners. Congratulations to Cookie, Phantom, and Nyler for getting that bag of 30 grand. But we still have a lot of other great teams that did a phenomenal job. You have Kai, Sour, and them on second, and we still have teams that are down in this top 8. We have Unit in QN and NJ, the team that really drove themselves upward this game. That last game they started with only like 50 something points and were able to get all the way up to 98, and that is really big for them. And you even see some of these other ones getting this top 15. Palm, what do you think of this leaderboard right now?
Wow, this leaderboard comes out to it. This is actually an amazing FNCS. Middle East is one of the most underrated regions in Fortnite. We saw so much skill in place today, and it's just absolutely amazing. Cookie, Phantom, and Nyler really pushing forward and taking that first place dominant position. I have had a great time casting today with you, Bryson. Bryson, you have any closing words for us today before we send it off?
You know what? I'm excited for Season 6, which comes this Tuesday, and I'm excited for our next FNCS in a few months to see what these teams are going to be able to do. We have so much impressive gameplay, and I hope we get another cast of the Middle East coming through for next FNCS, because they deserve the limelight. These are some impressive players. Now, Palm, I just want to say that I am Unamused Bryson. You can find me on all socials as Unamused Bryson, and on YouTube and Twitch, where I post videos weekly and I stream daily Fortnite content. Palm, it's been great casting with you. Do you have anything else to say too?
Yeah, all I can say is that if you'd like to catch more of me, I stream on Twitch at Prof Palm Plays, and now my Twitter is just Palm Plays, trying to shorten it up. But we appreciate all of you tuning into the FNCS Middle Eastern broadcast. I'd like to send a personal thanks to Robbie, setting this all up for us, making sure that we can do everything that you saw today. Once again, special congratulations to Kuki, Phantom, and Nyler for being your FNCS Middle Eastern Grand Champions. That's going to do it for us here at the casting booth today. We'd like to thank you all for tuning in. We'd like to thank Robbie for setting this up. Until next time, we'll see you all later.